All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome in on a Monday. I just realized something. Maybe I haven't walked around this building enough. We don't really decorate for Christmas around here. Like, do we have a Christmas tree in the lobby?
Yeah.
And that's about it. We don't have anything for Hanukkah. What are you doing over there?
We'll fix it during the break. It's okay. We're gonna power through. How about perseverance?
It might be the box too.
It's a Monday. We'll figure it out.
It's probably the box. The box is a little bit short.
You have a lot of
Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it have a Monday?
Energy.
This is a great Monday.
It is a great Monday.
Even
It's a great
I
Monday.
say
A lot of
that.
stuff going on. It's a victory Monday. Nebraska's going to Louisville to the Final Four. It was good. It was a good weekend for old GBR.
It was.
Yeah, not so much for Blue Nebraska, but GBR Nebraska had a good weekend.
A lot of things that we said on the show that needed to be true in order for them to have a 2-0 weekend occurred.
I was off. I thought fifth set last night. Penn State beat Creighton. That was my only prediction of the weekend, that we'd be talking about Nebraska and Creighton playing in the national semifinal. Instead, it's the Blue Bloods against the up-and-coming Bloods in the Final Four as the chalk. All 4 number 1 seeds made it. But let's talk about your predictions.
Oh yeah.
It was a good start for you. Maybe a point I know your idol is Colin Cowherd. You guys,
I don't know why you are.
because you said that on air. You go, I want to be heard. I want to be Colin Cowherd.
I never said that.
He's like a bad predictor as well.
I'm a terrible predictor. So I went. So go ahead, lay it out.
What'd you go? 1-3, 0-4?
But you got one.
Okay,
Huh?
you got
You
one.
had fun with the
Hey.
one.
There, latch onto that one. Which one? What is that one? Okay.
Oh, that's right. You said basketball is going to lose.
Sorry, didn't mean to set you up there.
I won on the chalk. And everything was wrong. Look, credit to Nebraska basketball. I thought that they were going to get dominated in the paint. On defense, at least they didn't do a great job cleaning up the boards. They got out rebounded on the offensive side, 7-5. But they forced Indiana to take 35 pointers.
Yeah, which they don't do.
They don't do that.
Like
Yeah.
the NBA.
Goody tried being the Luke Goody of Illinois last year. Who went off against a couple of teams I was watching, but he looked like Luke Goody couldn't make anything. Trey Galloway couldn't make anything. They just played a really good defensive system. Credit to Brett Hoiberg, his assistant coaches and whatnot. And then look, what you got, what you've been begging for. What you've been begging for. Alpha Bryce.
He took over. That was impressive. I don't know why he can't do that every night. He can be an all Big Ten guy.
To end the game, they wanted a 15-1
Yeah.
run. He had 9 of those points on that run. At one point, he made that insane elbow turnaround jumper that looked like it was a foreshadow.
Yeah.
And I think that was the moment everybody knew that Nebraska was going to win that basketball game when he made that shot. And then shout out to Mr. Elmers, Andrew Morgan. I mean, just the
Glue. See.
ultimate glue guy. The ultimate glue guy.
Can you be a glue guy with a mullet? That's really the question.
Why? What?
Like, you should be a lunch pail guy.
What do you think? What do you think he is? Lunch pail guy?
I think he's a lunch pail guy. I think lunch pail guys have mullets. I think
What do glue guys have?
glue guys have like a fade.
Crew cut?
Yeah,
Yeah, Buzz.
yeah. Like the lunch pail guy is a mullet guy.
He's a little bit more of a riot to be a glue guy.
Yeah, he's a one-man party.
I'm still calling him Mr. Elmers.
Okay.
He was great. 10 points, couple of rebounds, really did well on the defensive end, had a big block that turned him into transition when they were going on their run. He had a ton of energy. I brought it up on the show. Hoiberg brought it up in his post-game presser. He was the lone bright spot at Michigan State. I mean, he looked good against the Spartans. Everybody else looked terrible. Hell of a game. Jawan played well too, 14 points. So yeah, I missed out the Nebraska, Indiana. I put a lot of faith into the Creighton Blue Jays this week. The basketball team. Let's go to the basketball team playing against Indiana. It was an uphill battle from the beginning. I was impressed that they were able to bring it in within 6 points at the end of the first half, considering they were down, I think, 16 at one point. They just didn't have the oomph. They didn't have that spark they needed to beat a team like that.
They didn't have a killer, and his name's
No.
Mark Sears, who had 27 and 6 in the game.
Plain simple.
I just don't want to have a discussion around here about, man, couldn't Nebraska and Creighton play in the first round of the NIT and how cool that would be.
I
Just make the tournament, please. I think I
think
saw
they're
one
both
bracket.
gonna-
I saw one bracket this morning. Creighton is a 9, Nebraska's 11. But back to decorating for Christmas around here.
We have a
Because
tree.
we have a tree. Let's put the tree in here.
I like that
I'm down.
idea.
we're a festive group.
Yeah.
Grump. See,
Yeah.
he's got
Why
it
don't-
already.
why don't
You're
we-
a grump, but
Look, Rob, you just said, okay, heard. Okay, you're contradicting yourself here. You just go, man, you got a lot of energy, a lot of positivity, and you said you're a grump.
you can be both. You can be a positive grump. You are a
I'm a
positive grump.
I got my
You
my
came in
NFL
here-
football
you-
team won.
You walked
always
in
win.
here, and the first thing you started doing was making fun of me. You didn't ask me how my weekend was. You didn't talk about your
did I say
run
to
on
him?
Iowa. You just
Said,
said
"Good
I said,
something.
morning,
what's up,
boys."
jabroni?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Called me sensitive.
Jimmy, is he sensitive? That's the word on the street. Like someone stopped me the other day and said,
In the
Man,
middle of the street.
I've worked with Matt and he's very, very sensitive. You got to be careful. And I said, really? And they're like, yeah, he can be very sensitive.
I'm
You
not
just gotta,
took it as
you got to
he's-
handle
I'm
him.
not
You got to
sensitive.
handle
I
him
like
with
I-
kid gloves.
I like to think I go with the flow.
I
I mean,
took it
I
he
did
was
this
loving
whole
and
show for a
caring.
week. I'm still here. If I was sensitive, I wouldn't be hosting with you anymore.
Well, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
the listeners have welcomed you for a week.
Yeah. We've done. I've
We
done a
like
good
you.
enough job to come back to have a
Yeah.
6th day. So we'll see what happens.
Neil
All right.
See
always
what happens in
said,
January.
the great Neil Nelkin always said, it's coming back for the second day, and you did that. So now you come back for the second
Yeah.
week, and we're off and running.
Neil Nelkin, former coworker of mine.
A former coworker of all of ours.
I know.
He's the godfather of 1620 The Zone.
I know. He's the best. Absolute best. But yeah, Christmas, what is your so I'll tell you this, and I'm gonna say this to you, and you're gonna roll your eyes and you're not
Mhm.
gonna be surprised at all. Big Christmas family, the McMaster family.
Why would I be surprised?
Well,
You got the big mansion there in suburban
you
Chicago.
wouldn't
Man.
you I
You
said
got to have a
wouldn't.
Christmas tree right there.
Well, my
Like when you
dad-
walk in, you got the high raised ceilings. You got to have a Christmas tree that goes all the way to the ceiling, right?
Yeah, ours
Okay.
does. I feel like every dad kind of has their niche thing that they like to collect.
Mhm.
I know one of my friend's dads, he collects beer steins.
Okay.
Right. I know that another friend of mine, his dad collected like toy cars, like vintage, toy cars and stuff like that. Other dads collect maybe baseballs or jerseys or memorabilia. My dad's thing was Santa Clauses. You know,
Okay.
those kind of
Oh, I thought you meant the movie.
Like
like
gnomes?
porcelain, not porcelain, but like just the Santas. Like you buy Santas in a
Yeah.
box, and it's like Santa, surfing in Hawaii, and Santa's,
Okay.
on his sleigh, and Santa's like he has like an Irish Santa, he has a Nebraska Santa. So if you were to walk into my house, there's about 35 of these Santas.
Now, is this just over Christmas or is this throughout the year?
No, this is just.
I mean,
this is just.
I had a
Christmas.
follow-up question there.
This is
Hire
just
Tim Allen to
Christmas.
come
Yeah.
over.
I would say
Send it
I
out.
don't know if they're. I'm probably going to get a text message from either my mother or my father. I don't know if they're up yet.
Good morning,
Um,
McMaster parents.
They definitely have dialed back a little bit on the Santas. It
Mhm.
used to be a whole bring out 45 to 50 a year type deal, and
Yeah.
like we'd spend a whole night like doing it. Now it's a probably 15 to 20. Mom's got to roll her eyes and go down the stairs and pick out which ones and put them up there. But yeah, we're a big. I agree. I mean, just like a wreath. A wreath.
How
you
about
know?
a tree? Jimmy, why don't you bring the tree from the lobby into the studio?
What are they gonna
I'm
do,
watching
Jimmy?
I'm watching other radio shows
And they have all
that
these-
have TV or streaming, and they're all like their studios are decorated. We've never, I don't know, maybe it's a company thing. We're not allowed to decorate the studio. We've never had any like Christmas decorations.
Matt, you have some power for a little while. I mean, you could have made that as
Go
a
get that tree.
stipulation. Yeah.
Bring
I
that
could.
tree
What
in
are they
here.
going to do if we
Uh,
go and grab the tree? I can
no,
grab it right now.
They're gonna be
If-
like,
if-
"Where's the
if
tree?"
You grab the tree.
Where is the tree?
The tree
the
is in the
corner.
lobby.
It's
Okay, is
lit.
it
I
big?
think
How big is it?
It's pretty big.
It's pretty big. I think it would fit through that door though.
You want me to try?
Yeah. During the break, why
During the
don't you
break.
go and get the tree, and then
Okay.
we'll just put it in here.
Where do we want to? We'd put it behind. We'll put it in that.
Put it right here so
Put it
people
right here?
can see
Yeah,
it.
people
Beautiful.
need to see
I mean,
it.
it deserves to be seen.
I
We
agree.
can't just hide it.
It's a nice
It's a.
tree.
I mean,
no, it's a
you
pretty
work
tree.
on a body like this, it deserves to be seen. Now you may have to return the tree by 8 when Cynthia gets in.
I was going to say,
Cynthia.
is Cynthia the one decorated? Is this a way? Are you trying to get me on Cynthia's?
Cynthia did
no.
not decorate it.
her
We'll just see if
S-list?
she notices that the tree is missing.
Yeah, I know who decorated it.
But we don't have any garland. We don't
Rest
have
in
like
peace.
any fireworks or anything here in the
We
studio.
need just maybe a little mistletoe right here, broadcasting under the mistletoe.
That could get
Mm.
awkward.
No,
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think HR would appreciate that.
And we have HR now.
we have HR.
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
When
I'm
did that happen?
I'm like
Mhm.
I'm like Dwight Schrute and you're Jim Halpert. I got a whole just vanilla folder just of all the HR things.
Already.
They say they
Uh,
send it off to New York. It's because no, it's under someone's desk.
All right, coming up on the show, Ben Otte's going to stop by at 8 as Nebraska goes into full bowl prep this week to get ready for Boston College. The awkwardness of a team from Boston playing at Yankee Stadium, and there'll be people there cheering for that Boston team. Nebraska, still 2.5? I haven't looked at the spread in a while. I really haven't thought much about this game. This
Neither
game's
have I.
probably not going to get much run until after this weekend. Like next week, people will probably talk about the game.
We're still in transfer portal season. We're still
Mhm.
in looking toward next year's season.
Yes.
It is a little weird that the offseason essentially starts, but then there's still a game to be played. And it's like you have to switch off back and forth from
Try telling that to Marshall.
Well, try telling that to Penn State. I mean, their quarterback now is in the portal, and that's a guy that, granted he was a backup, they were using him in packages, right? But you don't blame
Yeah.
the guy for going into the portal.
I don't blame anybody.
Yeah.
The calendar is really odd. I think school calendar for January has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Because people want to be at their school enrolled in the second semester.
No, you're right. I mean, I think that's why it happens when it happens. I think if you were to change this offseason, you would probably have to change school schedules for it to start in February. But when you starting school in February, they're not graduating until almost June, and then you're kind of messing up corporate America's internships. And I mean, there is the entire
Imagine having a
economy
Christmas break until
and
February.
world going to have to adjust because the transfer portal needs to happen 2 weeks later. I mean,
college
that's where
football
we are.
rules the world. I thought it was the NFL, but I guess it's college football in your world.
Can you? Oh yeah. Can you imagine? Like seriously, you would if they were to move the school year like 2 weeks back for the transfer portal to start later. It literally would adjust everything and how we live our lives post graduation.
In our world, it sounds great.
Yeah.
In the world of academia, where they build buildings and they have students go to school there that are not football players.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Probably going to be opposed to that.
Yeah,
They're like, you know what, deal with it. But Marshall opted out of a bowl game. That's a discussion point. Evan Bland will stop by at 8:30. Also, Jacob Bigelow in at 9 to talk some hoops.
Did he ever make it home?
Yeah.
Looked
Oh,
like
he
he
made
was
it
spending
home.
the night
He
at
made it
PBA.
So I was over in eastern Iowa. They did not have the ice that y'all had around here.
Ooh, lucky you guys. Though.
So kind of dodge that. How was it in Lincoln on Friday night?
it was bad.
Are you a good driver?
I didn't drive. I stayed downtown actually.
Smart.
Good on you.
Yeah, I stayed downtown.
Mhm.
Didn't.
So you
have to
probably
go
got
anywhere.
wrecked.
He planned
Friday
it
night.
out.
I had a great time Friday night.
I heard.
I had a great time.
I heard.
I was with Bigelow. Bigelow and I were together. We had a
Really?
great time. We grabbed a beer, went to Sandy's.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, after the
A
game.
whole beer.
Did he finish it? Or
No,
was he
he
the guy
finished
that left like a little bit in the bottom?
No. He's. I know that guy.
We
I
all
know that guy.
Hey, we all
Don't
have that guy that
don't we all
leaves a
know
little
that?
bit of beer.
Just a little bit. He
That
doesn't
costs
like the
$12.50
backwash.
finish
He
it.
doesn't like
Here-
the backwash.
Here is the guy that goes to your wedding and it is an open bar and they don't ever finish the beer, but they consume a lot of that beer and they just will drink like 6 sips, leave it on the table, walk
Cup,
by,
cup,
grab another
cup.
one. Yeah, and
Oh,
and
no.
you can see where they've been throughout the
No.
night.
He
Oh, let's
taps
see.
on the-
That's a half beer right there. Oh, that's a quarter beer left right there. Oh,
He's around
Okay.
here. I can
It's
sense it.
definitely the guy too that goes, "Oh my god, you got Red Stripe beer? You guys got Red Stripe? Are you kidding me? I love this beer." And then you just see the path. It's like the only dude
Yes.
drinking that beer, and he's going around like, "Oh, yeah, there's 4 beers at the dance floor." Okay, all right.
Everybody wants this
Yeah.
tree. in
we
here.
all know that person. Your person is Jacob, and he's going to join us coming up at 9. That's the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. Nebraska volleyball for the 7th time in 10 years, going to the Final Four, the run for the Roses. They spoke it into existence with a dominating performance yesterday. I don't know if people realize Nebraska swept Wisconsin 3-love 3 times this year. 3-love 3
Crazy.
times this year. For a program that used to own Nebraska, and that was the elephant in the room to get over the hump in the Big Ten is to beat Wisconsin. Now they've beaten them 4 of the last 5, but to do 3-0, 3-0, 3-0 yesterday in a dominating fashion and the way they closed it out, that's Nebraska volleyball. There's a lot of things they talk about. Like John Cook is the master motivator, and he talked into existence the run for the Roses because they were going to Louisville.
Yeah.
And that's where they're headed. And that team never blinked. That
No.
team all season long never blinked. And Dayton was a good thing for him Friday night, but I don't know. I don't know who was going to beat him yesterday in the Devaney Center. Nobody was going to beat him.
Playing the way that they did, if they play like that through the rest of the tournament, they're going to win a national championship. And I was watching the game yesterday, and I was saying to a buddy, I go, it's incredible just how many talented individuals they have on that team. Any point can be somebody's point, right? Any point you can have a dominant Rebecca Alex slam in the middle of the court. You can have an incredible Andy Jackson slide. You can have a point where Lexi Rodriguez has not 7 digs, but a lot of digs and a lot of defensive plays. And Merritt Beeson's hitting the ball. Taylor Landfair had an incredible game yesterday. Like they just have so many pieces on the team where it's
But isn't that what a national championship team is?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's exactly what a
so
national championship team is.
And defensively, they've been unbelievable for this 2-week stretch of the NCAA tournament.
And Lexi Rodriguez, they have 2 players playing like the best players in the country right now. Andy Jackson and Lexi Rodriguez are playing at an incredibly high level. Credit to Harper Murray, too. She did an incredible job, did everything, had a lot of digs, had some blocks, had some kills. I mean, it's a complete team. And this is a team where when you have a lot of talented individuals, sometimes you'll see just in sports, in all sports, there might be a little bit friction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to be the superstar. Everyone wants to get the ball. Everyone wants to be the focal point of an offense or the leader on defense. They all love each other. They all love the roles that they play. This is a team that consistently talks about the bond that they have, and that's exactly why John Cook is an incredible coach. He's one of the best coaches, not just in volleyball, just in sports, period. His ability to bring together talented individuals and not only have them buy into what they're doing on the court, but have them buy into each other and buy into a culture and buy into a team is exactly why this is the 7th time in the last decade they're going to be one of the last 4 teams.
I'll mention it later. And I've said it before about this isn't just the 24 team, but this is like a buildup of about a 5-6 year stretch where John Cook is kind of reinvented himself. But back to Lexi Rodriguez. So she is Captain Dig Dug. You ever play Dig Dug? Jim, you're young.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you ever played Dig Dug?
I've not heard of Dig Dug. I feel
nobody's heard of Dig Dug.
Dig Dug. You haven't heard of it?
Dig Dug was
wow.
awesome.
Okay, so this is
I remember
Lexi Rodriguez is Queen Dig Dugger. An historic run that she has been on as one of the best players in the entire sport. But it almost seems with her, and her career is like flown by.
It has.
She's one of those players like you don't want her to leave her time at Nebraska without a national championship. So she's 2 away from getting a national championship. I almost think that Lexi Rodriguez, who will go down as one of the greatest Nebraska volleyball players of all time, is appreciated for that, but also is underappreciated.
I agree.
It's an amazing accomplishment. Like you almost take her for granted because you're like, well, here's the start of the match, and Lexi Rodriguez will do just Lexi Rodriguez things. And then she shows up and you go, whoa, man, she's been really, really good her entire career. There are very few athletes that I've covered at Nebraska that I could say that I think are rightfully appreciated, but yet also underappreciated. And she's near the top of the list. I mean, and it was a great, like her last game in the Devaney Center, and she's got a great story to tell. I thought was appropriate for her.
She's been the anchor of one of the greatest stretches of just NCAA volleyball in the last 4 years. You know, they've won a lot. They've done a lot of winning with her. She's been an incredible leader. I think she got a lot of pressure put on her last year when she was made the captain, right? Because they were such a young team, and she was one of 2 upperclassmen with Merritt Beeson, who was on that team. And I think that to be put in that situation from an off the court perspective, right? Hey, we have all of these talented players. We have a Bergen Riley, a Harper Murray, an Andy Jackson. We have a Rebecca Alec. We have a Lindsay Krause. They're all very young. They're all need a leader in front of them to allow Nebraska to have success, right? And for her to just be given that job, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but to be told, hey, you have to do this. You're one of 2 upperclassmen here. This is your job. And she's done an incredible job doing it and setting that culture. And so all the credit that we want to give to her on the court, we have to give her more credit off the court, because that is a Herculean task to bring together such a young and talented group and then have them win games against incredibly experienced volleyball teams. So yeah, I mean,
What's their TikTok like this morning? I have not been on TikTok.
I don't.
So they're
seen it.
an unbelievable group on TikTok. Like
They're funny.
They
They're funny.
live on TikTok, and they've included the head coach. I imagine that they were banging it out. Dayton, by the way, was kind of funny on TikTok. They did a bunch of TikToks from Epley Airfield on Saturday morning
Oh wow.
after they got beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Well, you talked about John Cook, like, he's gone through a bit of a renaissance, like kind of changing, I guess, his coaching style in order to. I mean, this is a guy that started coaching. We talk about older coaches to now, right? He started coaching when he could be tougher, when he could be a little bit more aggressive, when he could, maybe yell a little bit more, get on him a little bit more. And now he's coaching an entirely different generation and age of players, where how loose he is. And they've talked about it last year more in depth about how he didn't used to be this loose. He didn't used to be, like he was never a mean dude, but he's definitely changed how he approaches the players. And that is, I mean, look, the key to being great in anything is adapting. This guy has adapted, and now he's on TikTok making TikToks with all of his players in order to connect with him. And that's why they're a family. And that's why, look, it's one thing to be talented.
He's enjoying. I think there was a stretch where he didn't, and this is a while back.
Sure.
So that's why I say this is like a 5-7 year run where I don't think he necessarily enjoyed the journey, and it was a grind. And that relatable part. I mean, he's a little bit of an older head coach, and man, he got reinvigorated. He did some things that would not be easy for him to do by giving player empowerment and listening to his players. And also, I'm going to say this, I've known John for a long time. I mean, I consider John more of a friend than the volleyball coach at Nebraska. He started to be human. He was able to, he's just being John Cook. And I think it has benefited, whether it be this team or, again, about a 7-8 year stretch, which includes a couple of national championships in there. So Nebraska gets Penn State coming up. It's the late match on Thursday. Creighton got knocked out in 5. The Gonzaga of college volleyball came close, but at Rec Hall, after being up 17-12 in the third set. Now, they came back and won the fourth set, but they were up 17-12 in the third set. Couldn't close it out. Penn State came back, won. They went up 2-1. Granted, Creighton got it to the fifth set. But hell of a year. One of the best, if not the best, well, I'm going to say this is the best volleyball team that Creighton has ever had. I mean, you had 3 losses. They were in all 5 sets. They were all on the road, and they were to 3 of the last 4 standing.
Crazy.
They are the Gonzaga of college volleyball. They're not a mid-major. They might play in a mid-major conference, but they are a legit national championship volleyball program that last year got to the Sweet 16, this year got to the Elite 8, and tried to pull off a Herculean task, winning at Rec Hall against Penn State. It would have been great to have Nebraska-Creighton on Thursday in Louisville, but now Nebraska and Penn State are on one side with, 12 combined national championships, I think?
Yeah.
And then Pitt and Louisville, who have been near the top of the volleyball world for a while now, they meet on the other side, and we'll see what happens. But that's coming up on Thursday. So we don't get a volleyball state playing in Louisville as late last night. For some reason, that started 8:30 on the East Coast.
That's what I was bitching about. It's like, really?
Well,
It's
so
a Sunday
here's
night.
what, I mean, the sport of volleyball, they've done some smart things in terms of showcasing a sport where you're going head-to-head with football.
Sure.
And you're trying to find your piece of television. Coaches have taken over the sport and said, we got to do this. And TV has elevated the sport. There's going to be a discussion about neutral sites, which we can discuss a little bit later. But I think yesterday you get ABC and you get Nebraska, Wisconsin at the Devaney Center. No one was going to beat Nebraska yesterday. And I don't know how anyone wins at the Devaney Center. Now, whatever the win streak is, 43, 45.
Mayor Beeson's never lost it.
I mean, they're just, you walk in there and that place is rocking. And unless you're like a Wisconsin that's been there before, maybe you know what it's like Dayton. You look around and you go, my God, this is the mecca to college volleyball.
They had no idea what they were in.
But that ends, and it should have been like over on ESPN. I don't know what were they running. They weren't running the NFL. You couldn't have slid right into that match starting like at a normal hour.
Sure.
You know, they had a snowstorm in State College.
They did.
So it wasn't packed. They had a whiteout, which was pretty cool, and there were a lot of Creighton
Outside
fans
and
there.
inside.
There was a whole like section of Creighton fans.
Yeah, and they
there.
put them
Like,
in a good spot. They were like
did.
right at center
They
court.
were right on the floor too.
But it wasn't like packed. You know, they had
No.
a snowstorm. What Paul Sunderland was saying in the air. But why at 8:30 on a Sunday night? They should have slid from ABC, and then they tease it, and then they send you over to ESPN, and then you see Penn State Creighton.
I don't understand the 3:00 start for Nebraska either, because like
ABC.
well,
You
okay,
got-
3:00 at ABC. That's
then-
well, I mean,
then
I
you
would.
can't
I'm
see
just
Paul
saying.
Street.
I'm just saying you are going up against the NFL slate though. At that point, like 11 a.m. at ABC would have been like you get right in before the 12:00 slate, or at least it starts right before the 12:00 slate. Would have been something to not nitpicking. ABC's nice, 3:00, whatever, good game.
So
But
next
no.
Sunday, the national championship is during the afternoon as well.
Be a good game. ABC, hey, volleyball is a sport that is becoming more and more popular every single year. And you have to credit this state inexplicably. And it's not only just Nebraska, it's Creighton as well, and them being competitive. And then, like you said, I mean, close but no cigar, absolutely heartbreaking. All three losses to Final Four teams. They're undoubtedly one of the best
Yep.
teams in the country. But I mean, this year has been a great year for volleyball, and it's been kickstarted
yeah.
by the two teams in the state. And so just everyone a part of that Creighton team and everyone a part of the volleyball community should be incredibly
Yeah, the door to
proud.
volleyball in this country got opened up last year in Memorial Stadium.
It did.
I mean, people became aware
But it was
of
building.
Nebraska.
It was
But
building
wasn't
for a
It
while
wasn't to the level
that it is now.
because television coverage picked up. People were talking about it on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
And that opened the door for people to go, let me check out this college
Sure.
volleyball. And all of a sudden you realize that there are networks that are showing not just the Nebraskas, the Penn States, the Pitts, and the Louisvilles. They're showing other teams and they're like, whoa, this is pretty good. Now, I still think that college volleyball is better in person than on TV because I don't think TV does justice to the power and the athleticism that you see in person.
I agree.
And also atmospheres. I mean, look at every match you watched from Thursday to last night. Seemed like every atmosphere was a banger. Like it was an intense, every point mattered. You were on the edge of your seat. I mean, that's great for television because then it's like, okay, these people are into it because you're listening and every point is cheered. And you're like, okay, there's something going on here. So
Well,
the sport has done a great job.
had-
The sport doesn't have, I think women's college basketball was helped by the emergence of Caitlin Clark and
Sure.
the 3-point shot. College volleyball doesn't have that. But college volleyball has a perfect television product because it fits into about a 2-hour window and it's nothing but activity. Always going on all the time. There's no real downtime. When they break after the second set, it's not like they go away for 20 minutes.
No.
They're in the locker room, they're back out, and they're ready to go for the third set.
I think so too. An advantage that volleyball has maybe over, and I don't want to directly compare it to women's basketball, but like there are volleyball schools. There are schools that love that sport, that put a lot into that sport, that have a lot of fans in that sport. Nebraska being one of them, Wisconsin being one of them, Louisville being one of them, right? So when you have these three teams who are hosting these regionals, who are in these big matchups against really good opponents, you are going to have that volleyball school and that, fan base come and show out because they've been there before and they know how much they enjoy it. And that only elevates the products, right? Volleyball is benefiting from the fact that their blue bloods are still blue bloods, that their blue bloods are continuing to perform at a high level, to be put on a big stage, to be in the Final Four, to be in the national championship game, to host regionals, right? So you're looking at, Nebraska hosting a regional on ABC, and college volleyball should be lucky that Nebraska's on ABC at the Devaney Center hosting this because people watching it are like, oh my God, they're really into this.
Well, that's the reason why ABC chose the Nebraska regional.
Absolutely.
I mean, now Dayton, Wisconsin. Now Nebraska fans probably would have still shown up, but it would not have been the atmosphere. No. They're smart. Also, you have 4 schools that are playing for the national championship again this year. They're not landlocked. Okay, the sport used to be known as the beach sport.
Yeah.
There's the UCLAs and the USCs and the Hawaiis and the Stanfords, and Stanford is still a top level program. But now you have new schools, and you have the emergence of Pitt and Louisville. I mean, it's a sport that schools are investing in because they see the return on investment. Creighton, Nebraska, Louisville has invested in their program.
Yes.
They're playing on bigger stages. They're not afraid to take chances. I think that's another thing about the sport. They're not afraid to move out of a small arena and let's go play in our college basketball arena. And
Sure.
let's put 15,000 in there. So Nebraska, Louisville, we'll have plenty to talk about all week long as they make the run to the Roses Thursday.
Be a hell of a week. Dude, we're having incredible weekends of just sports, just in general.
All right, we come back. Nebraska football made some news over the weekend. We'll discuss that. A little bit later, Ben Oddie, Evan Bland, and Jacob Bigelow on 1620 The Zone. All right, good morning and a Monday morning. Matt is here, Gary is here, Jimmy is here, you are here. We have at the end of the week, for the first time ever, the expanded playoff. Friday night.
Are we
Saturday. We have bowl games.
Are we going to a
6 bowl games beginning tomorrow with our Scooters Coffee
Yes.
Bowl game.
heck yeah. Are we going out together on Friday? We're going to watch the Indiana Notre Dame game together?
No.
Do you have an Omaha game?
No,
No.
no.
It's a big bet for us.
Shut
It's our
that down
first
fast.
station.
I know. What did
Bet.
you say? So you said Notre Dame will not score.
No.
Okay,
No,
that
no,
was
no,
if
no.
they played Georgia.
That's if they play Georgia.
Okay. You just said that Indiana
Yes,
will
Indiana
beat
rolling.
Notre Dame.
Yes.
You said, did you say rolling? Or I thought you just said they would beat them.
Oh, they're going to I think
You
they're
think
gonna
Indiana
roll.
will roll Notre Dame?
Yeah.
I like Sig. I like Curtis Rourke. I like Lawden. I like Ellison. You know, they've suffered a couple injuries, but
I like the fact that why would you ever leave Notre Dame? Marcus Freeman signed an extension
saw that.
yesterday.
Thank God. Thank God he signed an extension. Because
Are you being sarcastic?
no, because Jake Glazer said he was rumored to be a Bears candidate. And I
Yeah.
like Marcus Freeman a lot. And I think he's a hell of a coach. I think he's been learning a lot
Mhm.
over these last couple of years. I think on the job, he's been you've seen kind of the wheels turning and some of the mistakes that he made early on in his youthful coaching, style has now adapted and they've been more solid and more consistent, minus the Northern Illinois game. But he's an incredible recruiter and he's a type of guy that you watch him talk in front of the media and whatnot, you want to play for him. I don't want him to be the Chicago Bears head coach. When Jay Glazer said that, I nearly crapped my pants in panic. And it is something that the McCaskies would do. The McCaskies would totally hire.
Would Kevin Warren do that though?
I don't know. Kevin Warren to me is an ultimate wild card. Like I have no idea. Like at first I thought he was just brought in to do the stadium because, the Bears need a new stadium. And he did that really well at Minneapolis or in Minnesota before he became the Big Ten commissioner. Now he's turned into the football guy, and now apparently he's the czar over Ryan Poles, which has never been done before for the Chicago Bears. They had Phillips there forever, who had nothing to do with football, and the GM was the main football guy. Now he's kind of just
Ted Phillips.
he kind of just that was terrible. It was terrible.
Oh, you got the Vikings tonight.
Yeah, I think they're gonna win.
We have too many night games
The
for
Vikings?
some reason tonight.
I think the Bears are gonna win.
Because I think of the calendars backing up with Christmas. So that's why we have 2 Monday night games. So one goes at 7, Bears, Vikings, and then Falcons, Raiders go at 7.
They are eliminated.
So wait a minute, hold on. You said the Bears are going to win tonight?
So listen, they are eliminated.
Whoa, the Vikings have a lot on the line tonight.
The Bears are eliminated. They're done.
Mm-hmm.
They got eliminated yesterday. Okay, so it would only really make
Someone
Were you
sense.
said
shocked?
weeks ago?
Were you shocked that they were eliminated?
Uh,
Thought they would hang in there for a little bit longer?
what shocked in what shocked like yesterday they got eliminated yesterday. Shocked that
I thought they were
or like preseason.
I
like
thought they were eliminated in Landover.
preseason.
Yeah.
I thought they
Yeah.
were gonna. I told some of this. I go, the Vikings are what I thought the Bears would be, and the Bears are what I thought the Vikings would be. And it's just done a complete 180. Now it's incredible. There's going to have to be a mini docu-series about how that Hail Mary completely ruined an entire year. How one play literally derailed an entire franchise.
Will Jonathan Taylor be making a cameo because of his drop
that
at the
was-
goal line that has changed
By-
the season for the Colts?
By the way, the last guy you would think on that team to do something that stupid.
I think it's the team as general. I think that's a very dumb football team.
Had a
I
Sterling
said-
Sharp moment.
I think
At least
that's
Sterling can win stuff.
Indianapolis is a very dumb football team with a dumb quarterback.
It would
that
only
makes
make-
dumb decisions.
It would only make sense for the Bears to lose every single game from here on out and get as high a pick as possible in order to build up their offensive line, which they desperately need to do. But knowing them and knowing that they can never do anything right, it would only make sense that once they're eliminated is when they beat one of the best teams in the NFC. So just off of that,
Mhm.
I think they're going to win tonight
Wow.
because
Okay.
that's just what they do. It only makes sense for them to lose. And so they only do what doesn't make sense. And so what doesn't make sense is for them to win. So they're going to win.
That you were looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Channel 6, that was not Danny Kaelin.
Okay.
Danny Kaelin's not a wide receiver. Wears number 80.
Yeah.
Transferred to Virginia Tech. All right, Nebraska football. Probably today we'll make it official that Addison Williams is joining Nebraska on the coaching staff from Central Florida. So there was a familiar theme in really the two finalists for this job
Yeah.
to be the defensive back coach is you got to have a little DC background, which Addison Williams has. The other candidate was Brandon Harris, who's from FAU, who was the co-defensive coordinator at FAU and cornerback coach, or at FIU, excuse me. So Addison Williams comes from Central Florida to Nebraska, and he'll be the defensive back coach. He does have a DC background. There's some high-level thinkers that are in that
There are.
defensive room that have been in that role before. But I like this hire from the standpoint of if you're going to say that you're a developmental program, which Nebraska clearly has said, you can't have developmental coaches. You have to have coaches that have gone through the ringer a little
like
bit
that.
at a couple of different places. Because if you say you're a developmental program, then why do you have coaches that Nebraska is their first job? That should never, ever be the case. That your first full-time job, frontline guy, not an analyst, not a helper, that should not be your first time at Nebraska. That your first job should not be at Nebraska. So Addison Williams has got a very interesting background. Might be more known for recruiting than he is as a coach, which also I think it might be a little bit of a shift. But I like it because he's not a development coach in a development program. He's got some chops, and it's a good addition. But is it a good addition to develop or a good addition to recruit?
What I think Matt Rule has done the best so far, and maybe you and I can get into a bit of a debate here, is I've loved the style of recruiting in which he's had. And what I mean by that is that he's recognized that in order to win at a high level, you need dudes. You don't need good stories, you need dudes. And he's identified these hotbeds in which they can go and get dudes and be successful in doing them. Kansas City, Florida, Texas. He said, look, these are the places that the best players in the country come from. We are going to make a presence there. And I think NIL has helped them in the regard that there are a lot of guys in those areas that in the past, before NIL, they may not have looked at Nebraska because it's too cold or it's too far away from their home or whatnot. And now that you are legally allowed to show them the money, to get them to come to campus, to see your facility, to see what Lincoln is all about, and then convince them to come, that has helped them. But while doing that, while going to Texas, while going to Florida and to Kansas City and these other places and getting top talented recruits, they've also locked down the state. And they've also been able to get top Nebraska guys. And I think that once you start abandoning Nebraska high school football, you start to disconnect a little bit from the fan base, because the fan base likes to see Nebraska kids play for the Cornhuskers. And so Rule has done a really good job of keeping the fan base and Nebraska kids involved in terms of building the program, but he's also done an incredible job of saying, hey, if we're going to win, we got to go to these other places and recruit from these top places.
That's a familiar, like, I remember Terrence Knighton telling me a story about they will always do well in state, and they're going to make sure that they get every guy they want in state they're going to get.
Yeah.
And they're going to do good on the borders, but they got to do good in the South. And he said everybody, even if guys that on that staff that recruit primarily in the Midwest, understand that you got to go to the South. I think also there's probably a transition in Rule learning the Big Ten in year 2.
Yeah.
Is that he can't win games with lesser talent. Like, they're not good enough on the X's and O's to beat teams.
They're not.
So they feel like the route is to try and build an elite roster. So go recruiting over development, get the elite player, and then you hope they remain elite when they get here, and that's how you'll win football games. I'm wondering if that's the transition, if I look at the way he's building his staff that are chock full of really good recruiters and relationship builders, other than, hey, that guy's known just for developing players. He's not going to be really good on the recruiting trail, but, man, you get him on the campus, you're going to fall in love with him because he's going to make you a better football player. Now, it's not to say like a guy like Addison Williams is not going to make a defensive back better. But probably if you looked at his strength, it is building relationships and recruiting.
So I also want to talk about this in regards to Rule. Rule didn't have any Big Ten experience before he came to Nebraska. And I think he had an idea of what the Big Ten was. Like, this guy, it's not like he didn't know what Big Ten football was and the style of play, but it is very different from watching it and scouting guys who are coming from that area and talking to coaches who coach in the Big Ten. It's very different from having those experiences to actually doing it.
Mhm.
And I think he had an idea of what it was going to be like. And so that's why he got Tony to be his DC. And that's why he got Satterfield to coach an offense in a way that would complement Tony's defense, because he had this idea of like big, bruising, run the ball, play Big Ten football. But the truth is that he hadn't coached it before and he hadn't been there before. And so I think his idea of Big Ten football has evolved. And now he realizes, okay, we don't need to be as like big and bruising and complementary to the defense. We can go and get athletes and use those athletes and have a more explosive type of offense here. Now, are you going to you're not going full air raid and abandoning the run. You're still going to be a tough guy, a tough team in the trenches. But I think that his idea and understanding of the Big Ten has changed and evolved. And now his coaching staff is changing and evolving.
Don't you think he wants to be Ohio State, not Iowa?
Yeah. And I think he was trying to build his program like Iowa when he came in. And he mentioned Iowa a lot
Which
in
is
his press conferences.
not a bad idea.
No, it's not.
But then you realize that you do not have the coaching chops to win those kind of games.
No,
you got to have dudes that win games for you.
Absolutely.
That cover up some of your deficiencies on the headset. That's how I look at this. And just because of the people that he is adding, they're making a huge commitment to recruiting the high school kid and recruiting connections. Now there's a defensive back from Central Florida that was one of their better players that I don't think is going to end up at Nebraska. But again, I like hiring people that have connections, that bring people along.
But NIL has opened up recruiting for national programs like Nebraska.
But how many times will Nebraska win battles where they simply win against the big boys, or they win against the big boys because they have a connection on their staff?
Well,
Winery is
that's a good point.
A really good pickup.
That's a good point.
But
because they won the battle with Dylan because they had Donnie on the staff, right? And they had.
That's when you're cooking with peanut oil. If you can win some NIL wins, big wins
with guys
like
that you're not connected with, that you're just going.
You in a short amount of time, you sold your program, you sold the bag, you built a relationship, said that guy's a fit for me, and he says yes. That's when I go, okay.
Yeah, they've had the inside track in a lot of
and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all use our connections, but there's sometimes you got to win without a connection.
Yeah, but he's done a great job, and Jamar Mosey is a perfect example of that, of building his staff with connections to get those inside tracks. Because these inside tracks, it's like, well, if you're getting a lot of them, then you're doing good recruiting. When you're setting yourself up to get these top guys and these top skates because what you've brought in, you got to give all the credit in the world. So I give a lot of credit to him for what he's done in recruiting and his strategy in recruiting. And I didn't really think of this, and I think this is a great point. He's very quietly changed the makeup of his staff. He went from his guys to guys that he trusted to guys that he thinks can be great coaches, and adjusted that to, okay, no. We got to go and get guys who are great coaches, who have proven, who have long resumes. Glenn Thomas, Dana Holgerson, Shorts, Terrence Braden had more coaching experience than Terrence Knighton did.
Also, Nebraska will be is getting involved in a Big Ten portal quarterback this week. All right, one in the books, another one to go. Ben Oddie a little bit later. Evan Bland will stop by. He was covering volleyball yesterday at the Devaney Center. Nebraska and Penn State get the late night slot. I think that game, will go 8 on ESPN Thursday night? 5:30 is Pitt and Louisville. Think you can get it in there in 2 hours?
These games always go longer. Always go long.
Jacob Bigelow as well on a Monday edition of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. Hey, go. All right, we now have a Christmas tree.
And we might have a dead co-host by about 8:30.
I mean, we got an hour of the Christmas tree. All right, so hold on here. Whoa. This is we finally decorated the studio.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, Jimmy, is how long do we go with people not realizing that the Christmas tree is missing? Like, could we just keep this to ourselves in studio?
You guys may be doing the
Hold on.
crossover and no one notices.
Hold on here. Let's turn it so people can see the. Hold on, we got to turn it so it's Merry Christmas.
Am I like Tiny Tim putting the star in the tree right now?
All right. Let's see if people can. Yep, there you go. People that are watching at home.
Those that are playing the home game.
All right, we now have. We now are
do.
very festive in studio.
All right.
Oh, there's a ball on the floor. Oh, you got to pick that up. That's like bad luck. That's right. If your balls are on the floor, it's bad luck.
Or you're in San Antonio in August. If you know, you know. Oh yeah. You guys win in December.
Oh, by the way,
All right, we got the tree. This is great.
Man, this is Christmas
so
music.
you're playing Christmas music.
Hell yes.
Heck yeah, dude. Look, it's a nice little tree. Nice
is
little
nice.
thing.
It is a good tree. I don't know why we have not
Oh.
decorated the studio before.
Wait. I forgot to do something.
Now it's Christmas.
There we go.
Ah,
Now
I hope
it's
people,
Christmas.
I hope people watching at home can see it.
It's now all lit up. Look at that.
Oh, people are happy with you now on the stream.
Jimmy, go turn the lights out. Let's
Yeah.
see what this looks
Yeah,
like.
no. Christmas nightclub? Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
That's even better.
I love that.
That's even better. Right
That's
there.
like a mood setter.
All right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Favorite Christmas song? Go.
Well, I was just going to say something.
This one's pretty damn good.
So this is before you got here. Every year with my buddies, we do a kind of a survivor pool of who can avoid the Wham song Last Christmas.
Yeah, I got it yesterday. Damn it.
I went until Friday, and I walked into a coffee shop in Waterloo, Iowa,
Of course.
Oh,
and they had it on, and it's all on. You got to be honest. So it's like the winner gets like $500.
did you
There's
walk?
all of us. All of
That's
us put like
crazy.
$25. in.
That's
Matt, you're loved.
I had
crazy.
gone until the 14th of December because it starts
That's
December
impressive.
1. I'd gone to the 14th of December. There was only like 6 of us left. And I walked in and I was like, good. And so
I was about to say, did you walk into the coffee shop and you go, dang it?
Yes. And the barista was like,
Are you okay?
she like stared at me and I'm like, you wouldn't understand. I said, it's that song you're playing. I hate that friggin' song.
yeah.
This
you an oat
Christmas,
milk guy?
this Christmas, I'm not going to give you my heart
You an
because
oat-
the very next day you're going to give it away.
Mhm.
I just lost out on $500.
I've seen
Yeah.
Temple of Doom. I'm not giving anybody my heart.
So
I'll give it
I am-
someone
I am no
else.
longer the master of my domain when it comes to Wham! Last Christmas.
I haven't heard
I'm
it.
out.
I'd be winning. I'd still be going. I'd be okay.
You go many places where you might hear Christmas music?
No, and I don't really listen. Don't get me wrong, I like Christmas music, but I just don't listen to
It's not on all your
ton of
presets.
music. I listen to the radio or sports talk or whatever. So I
Mhm.
don't really listen to. It's not on a ton. I do have a favorite Christmas song, and I do have a least favorite Christmas song.
Let's hear him.
Ride Rudolph, ride Rudolph. Santa's gonna make it. Home Alone.
No more singing.
Running through.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I can't.
That's your favorite?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't stand the Bruce Springsteen Santa Claus is coming to town.
Makes me
I'll
think
tell you.
That's
Every
like,
radio station
That
I
is
worked
like
at.
a familiar because of the way Bruce sings it.
Yes.
Yes.
I used to like it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was
Oh.
cool. And like it was one of those early in my childhood. I listened to Delilah, the
Yeah, I
radio
love someone
woman.
tonight.
Yeah, she's funny. Your smile.
Is Delilah no,
Is she
I'm thinking
alive
of I'm thinking of the sex lady, not Dr. Ruth. Who's the other one?
Sue Johansson.
Excuse me, who?
Who?
Yeah. Oh,
Sue
talk
Johansson?
Sex? Yeah, talk sex.
No,
on-
no, no.
Ah.
Delilah was talking just about like relationships
Yeah.
and loving
Oh,
your
Dr. Drew.
family and whatnot.
Was it Dr. Drew? No.
Maybe it is Delilah.
Anyway,
She's on late at night.
very late at night. Yeah,
Okay.
Chicago radio woman. And that was one of my favorite songs, and it wasn't played a lot. It was like a niche. It was like a niche Christmas song, right? It was like, oh, Bruce Springsteen. That's weird. He's saying the song. Oh, it's pretty good. Now, though, a lot of my generation loves that song, so now it gets overplayed, and it gets played all the time. And now that I just keep hearing it over and over again, I can't do it.
Oh, don't
I
hang
can't
out with
do it.
sports writers.
Clarence got a saxophone, been practicing real hard.
I thought it was painful on Friday when we were doing a split show of you singing in person.
It's worse. But he got the tree.
Ooh. The drone mystery continues in New Jersey.
Yeah.
How can NORAD track Santa, but they can't figure out the drones over New Jersey? And then also, closer to home, you were in school, so you didn't pay attention to anything outside of
Good point.
10th and Vine.
That's a great point.
What happened to the drone story around here?
Yeah.
We did we had to have a drone story
I was on
right
the air-
before COVID?
I was on the air during that time.
Oh.
I was producing for the
what
Jack
happened
Mitchell
to the
show.
mystery Nebraska drones?
We were shooting them down, right? Wasn't the
like citizens of Nebraska or the National Guard?
I'm pretty sure one of them got shot down, and then didn't we say it was a foreign country? Wasn't that the go-to? And then it kind of just went
the
away.
drones that were in Nebraska?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought
there
it was
theories.
people were wondering, they were seeing mystery drones, and then the story just kind of
I thought one
disappeared.
crashed. Didn't one crash?
It might have. I remember it was a big story for like a couple of days.
What do you think? What do you think they? Okay, you came on on the show. I think the first day you asked me if I was an alien guy,
Mhm.
and I told you no.
It's a great movie.
I went on a 10-minute Twitter New Jersey drone kind of deep dive yesterday.
The conspiracy?
I think it's aliens. I think it is.
Right, you heard it here first.
So we're being invaded? Would that impact the college football playoff game?
Yeah, can we
beginning
just
on
have
Friday?
them,
Will they join the Big Ten or SEC?
My thing is that if there are
Well,
aliens,
they are in Big Ten country.
if they are aliens and they're able to travel from world to world, clearly they're incredibly smart. So I think the first thing we should do is sit them down and say, okay, we'll get Sankey, we'll get Petiti, we'll put them right in front. All right, figure this out for us. How do we manage the transfer portal, NIL, the college football playoff? How do we figure? We'll get to world hunger in a second, but before you do anything, how do we figure it out?
They're like,
Let me introduce
What's your perfect transfer portal schedule, aliens?
Let me introduce you a guy in Oxford, Mississippi named Lane.
Yeah. The aliens come
He is
down to
our
Earth. They go,
overlord.
this Kiffin guy, he's got good ideas.
He's one of us.
Are you guys in a confidence pool for bowls? Did you do a bowl pick'em?
I did do a bull pick'em.
Now, I was, for a moment, I was irate that Marshall had backed out because I thought Army was going to not play a bowl game
Sure.
in the lovely community of Shreveport, Louisiana, because Army is my 47. That was my highest pick
Shout out Jeff
against
Monkey.
Marshall.
Oh.
Now they are back, so they're going to play Louisiana Tech. I noticed this morning they're a 14.5-point favorite. I'm glad it's my 47. But if you pick Nebraska or Boston College, what was your number?
So here's my thing. I'm not in a confidence pool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just in a pick'em pool.
So straight up standard?
Straight up. So you get 10
Boring.
points.
Boring.
I just did it on ESPN. It was a group of mine, and I just kind of got thrown into the fire. Yeah, you just do 10 points. I'm 1-1. Where would Nebraska?
Oh, you probably had the Jackson State, South Carolina State game had to be picked. Okay.
That's what I got. So I won that one.
I am off to a roaring start. I had South Alabama. I was a little bit worried because South Alabama was down 2 quarterbacks.
So where would I put Nebraska in my confidence pool if I pick them to win?
Let me pull up mine.
What is it? 50? What's the max amount of?
So there's
points here?
47,
47.
or at least the one I was in. You
Sure.
had, because you're also, here's the weird thing, like the one pool that I'm in, you had to pick games that you didn't know who the teams were.
Yeah.
So the playoff games.
I would say 21. So less than 50%.
Fine. Okay. I did pick Nebraska and 22.
Wow, look at us. Yeah, I agree. I don't mean to be echo chamber radio here, but like it's
Can you hear?
they
I think I'm a better
Boston
player.
College is going to run the ball a lot. Nebraska's going to be pretty solid with Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmaker in the D line. I think that you get 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks of practicing with Dana. You get to build Dylan's confidence up. The wide receivers get to build their confidence up within the offense. I think they'll be a little bit more creative. They already were pretty creative with how they're using the tight ends, but I think that could take another step with the more time that they're spending with Dana. It's hard to think that this offense isn't going to get better with the more and more time Dana has to kind of sink his teeth into these players. And I think the defense, they've taken some hits, but if Nash and Ty are playing and this team is going to run the ball 60% of the time, I like the odds. At the same time, it is a 6-6 football team. They definitely do still have their flaws. They definitely do still have their inconsistencies.
It's a good exhibition game.
And there's one phrase that Matt Rule always talked about, and it's slaying the lion, right? Killing the lion in your head, killing the lion of not being able to win these close games, not being able to win these one-score games. They still haven't been able to do it. Why are you?
Continue
you a little kid? Are you like a cat? Like,
like
you have to like
hey,
you
whenever,
have to like
whenever
swat
I,
at the ball?
Whenever I hear that, I think Santa Claus is going to come through the door.
How old were you when you found out that the big man in red isn't the one? He's got
Careful, we have kids listening at 7:12.
He's
He's talking about a lineman transfer to Nebraska, kids. Portal.
Still exists to me.
Mhm.
It's still real to me, damn it.
He still lives. I still believe. Why 21? Why 21?
Could you reel yourself back
Oh,
in there?
big
Like,
time.
oh,
Big time.
yeah.
Didn't really think that through.
Yeah. John, who's driving.
Shout out Jimmy.
John, who's driving with little Pete and little Cynthia in the back seat. They're like, what is don't worry about it. Change the channel.
Talking about Rule.
Change the channel.
No. Big, yeah.
Change the channel.
Big man in red is Matt Rule.
Ed Foley.
Yeah.
That's all.
Ooh. When they,
you
like
find a new
they're,
role?
they're,
Oh,
they're-
I just saw the idea pop into your head. This is going to be great.
isn't he the automatic person at Nebraska that when they're, they're going to a bowl game, so they're going to be there over Christmas.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like when they have, like Brendan Stye used to be the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Like when Nebraska would go to the bowl game, Ed Foley's the Santa Claus.
Has to.
Who would be the best mall Santa in the Nebraska athletic department?
I mean, Ed Foley was at Gateway yesterday with strangers sitting on his lap. Why wouldn't he be the go-to default Santa Claus
Which is weird.
at the
'cause Santa was on the
Nebraska
other end of the
football
he
party?
he even kind of wears the Santa Claus glasses as it is. Like if he were to
He's got the pink cheeks.
yes,
Oh, he's perfect.
he's perfect for
That
it.
whole coaching thing don't work out. Ed can,
Yeah,
just be a full-time Santa.
Mhm.
Move from Gateway to Mall
you know how insulting that is.
to be a full-time Santa. Hey, if you
It
work
might
it well,
pay
you can make a
well.
lot of money. Now, I don't know you can make as much as you do as the special teams coach. But you know what? I mean, he's in it for kids.
Absolutely, clearly.
Yeah.
Everybody loves
He
you.
likes kids. He likes people.
You
People person.
imagine-
There's nothing better than being a Santa and a complete stranger, and
Ed-
people like willy-nilly just put their kids on your lap. They
Ed-
don't even think twice.
Ed Foley at the Gateway Mall in a Santa Claus outfit, trying to teach kids how to catch punts.
I smell content.
I think that'd be great for them.
Wholesome.
Would it?
Yeah, it'd be great. Great, get them. Well, then the memes would roll in if they did that. The amount of memes that would come in from him dressing up as a Santa Claus, it would be unbearable.
I have not seen as many Santa Clauses this year.
Like
Like I don't. We the malls are kind of falling out of favor, except for one or two in this area.
Yeah, where would you do a Santa Claus meet and greet now that malls aren't as popular and they're shutting down? Like because that's
Maybe they come to you.
Menards.
Maybe you order them online and they show up at your door.
Oh, maybe a different Santa Claus shows up. Honey, why?
Wait
why
a minute.
What
Wait a
did
minute.
we order? Why is there 4 of them out here?
Wait a minute. I ordered Mrs. and I got Mr. Had that happen to you before?
All of a sudden, just a Magic Mike playlist starts playing outside your door.
Just sit
This
down in the
isn't
corner.
Christmas carols.
Hey, as a
not a
Santa
beach.
Claus, you got to adapt to the times.
It's a bathtub.
Santa Claus, you got to
Whoa.
adapt to the times, man. It just isn't. You show up the mall and you make, you sit there for 8 hours. I mean, things have changed. You gotta be able to get outside of the mall to be a good Santa. You got to be able to ride in parades. You got to be able to wave. You got to be able to stand on the street corner, sell your goods, that kind of stuff.
Smile and wave, boys.
Yes.
Smile and wave.
Are people still upset this morning? This Monday morning after the Heisman Trophy was announced, there is a ton of pushback.
Other than Travis Hunter's girlfriend.
Yeah,
So,
that's,
hold on.
That's getting worse and
Hold
worse.
on. So I was away. this weekend. I am a Heisman Trophy voter. I did go Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, and Mr. Running Back from Arizona State. So that was
you did do Scatterbug.
That was my 3, but there was a lot of anger. Of anger that Travis Hunter won over Ashton Genty. Now, I will tell you, I debated it for a while. And ultimately it came down to I've never seen something like what Travis Hunter has done. Charles Woodson didn't do it. Chris Gamble didn't do it at Ohio State. Travis Hunter did it. And I didn't get locked into snap counts, which is the number one argument against Travis Hunter. Unfortunately, you're not going to win a Heisman Trophy out of a group of 5. Do you not remember 2009? Okay, it has always been about the logo.
I agree.
Look at Mark Ingram won, but look who was second in the Heisman that year. Sue got screwed. He was 4th. But once it was announced, there was like this anger. And good on Genty. I mean, he felt like he should have won it. He said, I should have walked away with it. I think he'll have a chance on the 31st to show everybody because more people will watch him than have ever watched him before. But I thought Travis Hunter, and remember, this is, of all the cats that played in Lincoln for Colorado, he was the one that seemed the coolest. Like, remember, he went on his podcast afterwards and talked about...
He gave Nebraska a ton of credit.
Yes. And I think he handles himself really well. And off the cuff, no notes, from the heart, that speech that he had. Now, I'd like to know more about Pops. Why wasn't Pops there? Where is Pops?
Sure.
I know his fiance, because I do see he pops up on my TikTok a lot. So they're together and he talks about her and their relationship and that they're going to get married right after rookie camp in the spring ends or whatever their plan is. But this came across my timeline. I didn't have time to look at it. What happened with her after his speech?
So there's a couple of things. First off, people were commenting on how she was the last person to stand up when he won, and that she was the first person to sit down. And actually, Deion had to reach around and tap her to tell her to stand up. Okay. And she was the first person that, greeted him. Then, I don't know about after the speech, but I saw the video of he was at a meet and greet. She was there. Mm-hmm. He's at a meet and greet. He's taking pictures with a lot of, by the way, younger people, like kids, want to come up and take pictures with him. And he's,
He's replaced Santa.
I don't know if he had won. Jimmy, did he win the Heisman? Was that after he won the Heisman? He was doing that meet and greet, or was that
Friday,
before?
Friday or Saturday.
So I don't know if he had won the Heisman yet, but he was taking pictures with people, and she was complaining. She was like, "What am I supposed to do? Just sit here and watch you take pictures?"
Was she caught on a hot mic?
She was caught on a camera saying this.
Order some food.
She was caught right then and there saying this, and a lot of people were turned off by it. And then there's that very famous video from a couple of weeks ago of him greeting her, and she looks very mad at him after he won a football game. And then there's the other video about how she, wasn't into Travis at first, and then, came around and whatever. There's a lot of unnecessary negativity happening around that situation, and I feel bad for both of them because I definitely do think it's blown out of proportion. Just ain't a good look though for anybody. I don't know what happened after the speech though.
Probably a fight.
But she had to get Garrett. Your boyfriend just won the Heisman Trophy, and you had to be told to stand up. Like what? Like that's weird.
So maybe
that's weird.
Maybe she, with her friend group, voted for Genty.
Oh, maybe she had a pool. Yeah, maybe she had a DraftKings bet or something like that.
She doesn't. Maybe she didn't like the attention. But I would think if you start dating a guy like that's Travis Hunter, you got to prepare yourself, because if she's going to be like this, wait till she gets to the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh,
and everybody knows who you are, and they dig into your past, and the next thing you know, the Spun website is writing a story about you of something you did when you were 14 years old.
I know you're a Gia Duddy fan.
Yeah.
Same stuff.
She's swell.
Every other day.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's. You feel bad a little bit, but just take the cues. If I was Caitlin Clark's boyfriend, and she won, I'd be standing up and clapping and being like, "Woohoo, let's go!" I'd be all excited.
She's still a Fran's kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he handles all of her attention and the goalposts moving all the time with her. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be tough to date a superstar or be married to a superstar.
Without a doubt.
But that's why I appreciate that Travis and Taylor are still together.
Yeah. Oh, he'd be feeding her to the wolves if he,
because he could be jealous of her.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. You know that? He's just a good dude. He's got those onesies. He's got like the onesie collection. It's like actually kind of cool.
I used to have that as well.
He likes what?
I used to have that as well.
He likes to fish. I love a fisherman. That's all he talks about is just going and fishing. I mean,
now
guy's a dude.
One thing Travis Hunter did say that I don't believe is he's never listened to any Lil Wayne music. Now, I thought maybe Lil Wayne won the Heisman. He's got some pictures that are out there afterwards.
Was he
that he's
Boomer?
With the Heisman? That's the whole marketing machine of Colorado. I'm sure they're
Lil Wayne, though, is a great marketing machine in himself. Lil Wayne has done an incredible job of tying himself to individuals in all realms of life.
But once you have him with you, it draws attention. Like,
absolutely.
Why is Lil Wayne hanging out with that guy?
It's Wayne, though. He's the best.
But there was like anger. If for all of the media that put out their vote and you voted for Travis Hunter number 1, even if you voted for Jeanty number 2, and it deserved to be close, and it was. I mean, people really thought about this. Look at all the first place votes that Jeanty got. There was just anger. And it was the snap count. It was probably, you can't stand Deion. Well, I mean, watch football, okay? Separate Travis Hunter from Deion Sanders, okay? Yes, he has the marketing tool. And if Jeanty was at Colorado and Hunter was at Boise State, Jeanty probably wins.
Yeah, because Jeanty's playing Power 4 football. Like, it has nothing to do with the marketing tool and everything to do with the competition. Travis Hunter has played better teams week in and week out.
He did something in college football this year that we have not seen. And it took him doing that to beat a guy who had an incredible season like Jeanty.
But
that's how I looked at it when I voted.
I absolutely hate this narrative that, if Ashton was playing for Colorado, Ashton would have won. And
no, he would have. He would have.
Wait.
He would have, because this is also a logo award.
Let me get there, though. It has. I'm not saying that I disagree with it. I hate the narrative, though, because it's not taken as if Ashton was playing Power 5 football, he would have won. It's taken as if Ashton was playing for Deion, he would have won. I'm not saying.
There's the marketing angle of the Deion.
There's
impact.
A difference, though, because it's not like Ashton was in the Big Ten. It's not like he was in the SEC. He was in the Mountain West. He was not playing Power 5 football. He was not playing against the best competition in college football week in and week out. He played one game against Oregon. He was good in it. Don't get me wrong. They probably should have won that game. But all that to say, you can't just tell me, he played well against Oregon. That's good enough playing a Big 12 schedule. No.
Oh, yeah. Now
playing a Big 12 schedule.
You need to eliminate those people from your conversation.
Absolutely. Now, you're right. If Ashton's playing in Colorado, he wins, but it's not because it's Deion. It's because he's in the Power 4.
Deion has a marketing machine.
If Deion was in Boise State, if Deion was the Boise State coach and Ashton's there, Deion's at Boise State. Do you think Ashton wins?
Is Travis Hunter still having the kind of year he is, but he's playing at Colorado?
Having the same okay, just switch the coaches. Spencer Danielson's over at Colorado. Deion's over at Boise State. Who wins?
It's even closer. Travis Hunter still wins, but it's even closer. But you can't deny that there's a marketing machine in Colorado, and that's what
I'm not denying.
That's what I mean. Look at. Are you going to watch Colorado football next year when Shedeur and Travis Hunter are not there?
No,
but you will possibly watch because of one guy, and that's the head coach. And maybe the same thing with Belichick.
It won't
but less noise.
It won't have the same staying power as Shedeur and Deion or Shedeur and Travis. But I'll say this: if Deion gets another superstar there, if he gets another look, Travis Hunter and him aren't related. Travis, like Deion recruited Travis. Like Deion met Travis. Deion recruits Travis.
Is that breaking news what he just said? They're not related?
No, it's not breaking news. Okay. But I'm just saying he was able to grab Travis, someone he's not related to, take him in, bring him to Jackson State, then bring him to Colorado. He can definitely do that again. He definitely could. If he could get a 5-star to commit to Jackson State, he most definitely can grab another superstar like that and bring him to Colorado. And then, we're talking about someone different. Shedeur's a different story, though. Shedeur will always benefit from being Deion's son, right? Like,
there is that door that opens up, and then you have to have your talent take over.
Well, so Shiloh is the great example of you still need talent because,
but he
will
get drafted.
He will
go, what?
He shouldn't.
I watched him play too much. He makes too many business decisions. But if you if you were, I would just because again there was the word robbed was used
I don't think he was robbed. To say he was robbed is ridiculous.
I agree.
Ashton Jeanty would have won.
I voted for the winner.
Ashton Jeanty would have won last year. He would have won years before that. I think maybe you could go down the line and there's certain guys that would still, I mean, I don't know how many past Heisman Trophy winners you think would still beat Ashton Jeanty if he was in a different year. I think he's beating Jayden Daniels.
Non-quarterbacks.
Do you think he's beating Devonta Smith? And is that 2019, right?
Probably not. I mean, the COVID year. It was a COVID year.
COVID year, 2020.
Probably not. I mean, he had incredible.
I think he beats Jayden Daniels. The only person that could. I think he beats Bryce Young.
The only season that could beat him out is the kind of season that Travis Hunter had.
Absolutely.
And don't just sit there and go, well, snap counts are not a stat. Well, how about watch football? And good on people that voted this year watched football. Okay, look at Jeanty's first place votes. He got a lot of first place votes, and it was close, and it deserved to be close.
I think though with Travis,
but we need
Hunter,
to cut down on the show. We don't need the show to be an hour.
Well, that's just
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Chris Fowler does a great job. In and out. Boom. I also don't need. This may also have added to the angst. They showed the fan vote, which is not part of the Heisman Trophy balloting. No. They showed the fan vote, and so people were like, "Oh." And did you see
Jeanty won
when they showed Travis Hunter and they put up that graphic? It was kind of a weird look.
Yeah,
because that has no bearing on.
I don't know why they did that. I think it's only 2 other times that happened before. Some stat that I've seen. Look, with the whole, I want to go to the snap count thing. People about the snap count. Snap counts shouldn't be stats. Well, there are some things that once you do a ridiculous amount of them, it becomes a stat. When it's a number so high that no one is even close to touching that number, that's when it becomes a factor. Okay, this guy isn't just having 20 more snaps a game, having 5-10 more snaps than the average player. He is doubling the best players. And to say, well, he's not the best wide receiver and he's not the best corner is the stupidest argument ever, because it's not as if Travis Hunter is an average corner or an average wide receiver. He's top 10 easily in both instances. Should he have won the Biletnikoff? No. But he's still damn good.
All right. Joel says, I'm not mad that Hunter won, but my only rebuttal is that Boise wouldn't be a playoff team without Jeanty.
Okay. Like, Oregon wouldn't be a playoff team without Dillon Gabriel. Like, I don't get that argument.
So,
it's not an MVP
1, 2,
award.
3.
It's not value. Yeah, if we're judging on value.
It's a logo award. So, the last 3 winners were not in the playoff. Colorado, LSU, or USC.
Oh, that's good stat. Yeah, some good polls today.
And then you went with the run of Alabama, Young, Smith, and then Burrow, of course, who was orchestrated one of the greatest seasons in the history of college football. Now, into 2025, I think we'll get back to a quarterback. I mean, it was rare this year.
Did you see that?
There was. I mean, where were the quarterbacks?
There was
Bryson Daly in there. I saw a 5 quarterback.
I saw a graphic of like favorites in the Big Ten to win the Heisman. I saw Dillon. Dillon popped up in there. Do you think?
I don't know. I make him a favorite, but he needs to be in the conversation.
Okay, so that's the next step, right? Yeah. Like he's got to be a little bit how. Here's a good example. Curtis Rourke, right? Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't at the ceremony, but
he finished top 10.
But he finished top 10, and there were conversations mid-year from people being like, "Hey, you seen what this Indiana quarterback is doing? Like, are you seeing that this guy, like, he's going to have a legit shot?" Now, he hurts his thumb playing against Nebraska. That derails. He was the type of guy that needed to play all 12 games and all 12 games at a very high level in order to win. But I think that's the kind of jump that Dillon's going to need to take. At some point, there should be in the season a point where we're talking about, hey, maybe Dillon goes to New York. I'm not saying that he should be number one, wire to wire,
right
pull to pull. But at some point, you and I should be having
2 years.
We should be having a conversation of like, hey, he's got a shot. Like, and we should start making, and then whether or not he wins or not, right? That's subject to see. But if he's going to be the guy, I mean, we're talking about the number 1 quarterback in the recruiting class. We're talking about a 5-star prospect.
You'd probably have to be in the 9 win. You'd have to win minimum of 9.
If he's playing at a Heisman level, though, they're going to win 9. They're going to win enough games.
But he can't be putting up just amazing numbers and Nebraska's 7-5. No. They'll be like, nice year. Maybe you'll be the number 10 guy in the voting for the Heisman Trophy. No, we're in lockstep here.
Yeah.
Where in the next 2 years he needs to be like later in the season in a conversation, not just on a Twitter graphic in December.
No.
Yeah, he needs to be like
we need to be making the case.
Get to November and you go, okay, we're going to talk about the Heisman around here. We haven't talked about the Heisman since 2009.
Get to the point where you're saying, all right, this is the battle he needs to win. Here's the mountain he needs to climb. This is what he needs to do in order to win it. And for those who may be listening right now who are thinking, wow, that's really high expectations for a quarterback. Look, the kid was highly rated for a reason. He's been blessed with that arm and with that athleticism and with a really good family and really good parents and a good head on his shoulders. Like, he's got all the tools to do it. And there's no reason as to why he shouldn't be in the convo. No reason. If he's not in the convo, Nebraska failed him. Nebraska failed Dylan Raiola if he's not in the convo for Heisman.
Well, why can't it be the other way around?
It could, and maybe he failed himself. It could be either. It could be both ways. But they need, in order to win the Heisman,
because I think if you
need high caliber players.
If you approach it that Nebraska failed him, he ain't sticking around.
That's a good point. But they need to get to a point though where, like some people are saying, well, Travis benefited so much from having Shedeur, from that guy throwing him the ball. To which I would say, yeah, like Ashton Jenny benefited a lot from having a good O-line. Like, everyone in order to win the Heisman, it's sometimes a team award aspect because you need people in order to help you to win it. Dylan's going to need the weapons to help him get
Ben
there.
Ottie's coming up at the top of the hour. We'll stop in with Evan Bland, who I think might be on volleyball duty.
Really?
Headed off to Louisville. Yeah, he covered this weekend down at the Devaney Center.
Nice.
Also, Jacob Bigelow, 1620 The Zone. Wow.
That was just Taylor Swift. Oh, okay.
Everybody
Jimmy
has
trying
a
to
Christmas
kiss
album.
Jimmy trying to kiss Gary's ass right now,
Why?
playing the Taylor Swift.
Because he's a big fan?
Yeah, because he can't stop talking about her and the Eras tour. She's not
It's
going to
been a
do
week
another.
now.
When's the next time she's going to do a tour?
I
Next
bet it'll be
year?
a while. I mean, you're on the road for 2 years.
Yeah,
It'll be
I
a
know.
while.
Do you think it'll be?
She'll
It'll,
made $2 billion.
it'll never get bigger, right? It'll never. She can never.
Probably not.
In
Probably
reality, I just typed Christmas tree in the thing, and that's the first thing that came up. But
Everybody's got a Christmas album. Everybody.
I will never play
I'm
Wham.
I will say this. Like I said, I don't listen to as much Christmas music as most people, but Michael Bublé, what a month for him, right? I mean,
In the portal?
that guy owns December. Owns December.
He does.
Love me, Michael Bublé.
So did Collective Soul.
So does Twisted Sister.
Yes.
They have a Silent Night.
Ooh, you like Pentatonics?
I'm on my go-to.
Okay,
You like Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
I love a Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
You like Chip Davis?
I like Bing Crosby.
Okay.
I like Bing.
What about Bing? This time of the year, you just
It's
float down the
just-
street.
Yeah,
with Christmas.
Ryerson.
I'm dreaming.
Okay.
Like, yeah, just a low voice, echoey a little bit, just kind of calming, good words. and
Sinatra or
just-
Bing Crosby in a Survivor pool?
in what? In
Just
in
straight up.
general?
Straight up.
I'm not going against
Straight up.
Frank
Frank.
Sinatra.
Yeah, it's Frank.
Good man.
He can have you off.
It's Frank. In Christmas, Bing.
Still not leaving
I don't remember any Frank Christmas.
Exactly. I only know I know Bing Crosby from Christmas.
Everybody's got a Christmas album. Not just Mariah Carey.
Yeah, do you know she's
4.5
calling herself the Queen of Christmas?
She should. $4.5
You
million.
think so?
$4.5 million downloads on Spotify this past week. All I want.
But that one song
Christmas.
makes you the Queen of Christmas.
That
In
song's
reality,
played a lot.
Mean Girls kind of
Like that's like winning one championship and being like, yeah, I'm the greatest of all time. Like you got to do a little.
She
bit
keeps
more.
winning every year.
Winning what? Like best Christmas song of the year?
She had a vision of love.
People
yeah,
love
I
that
mean-
Christmas. They equate a Christmas to that song now. If that song doesn't play, then we don't have Christmas.
We have Christmas if that song doesn't play, but it's not
Are
a
you sure?
Christmas party. It's not a Christmas party
Poll question?
unless is Christmas without Mariah Carey. All I Want Is You.
Joey writes in to the Equitable Bank inbox where they take banking personally on
Hi, Joey.
Travis Hunter about his girlfriend. His girlfriend got mad because he was taking pictures with people, mainly women. Whatever seemed like another fake outrage moment. As far as the Heisman, you can convince me for any of the finalists. I'm not tripping on who won. Travis deserves it. Thank you. So she's upset that a lot of women want to take pictures with him. She not seen him on campus. I bet he's popular on
He
campus
was at an
in Boulder.
event. It was a taking picture event.
Boy, she's going to have a rough life. She better get used to that.
Yeah.
People
Don't be as
over her soon-to-be husband.
Don't be as sensitive as me.
That's a life hack right there.
Don't be as soft as Matt McMaster.
Here is Rick. Good morning, Rick.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I love the banter. I love it.
Thank
It's
you.
great. Go Jays. Woo! My question is this: is the Heisman really relevant now that we have NIL? And are there certain? I've had a little chance to think. Are there certain boxes we have to check now that we have NIL? You know, you have to at least be 2 years in the same school. And do you graduate? I want to know. Do you graduate? Because I'm a product of 4 years of college. What are those guys coming out with?
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
not.
that we're
It's not a school award, Rick. It's a football award. It's who's the best
I
football
know, but
player. So I don't think you don't need to check those
We're
boxes.
paying them millions of dollars tied in with that.
Well, they're getting
So-
paid. They're getting paid to play football. They're not getting paid for school. They're not getting paid because they're getting an A at math. They're
If
getting
they
paid
didn't
because
have
they're
a
really
school
good at football.
attached with it, they'd be professional.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see why you would need 2 years though at the same school or be required to graduate if you win the Heisman. The Heisman is simply just if you are the best football player, that's what you get. I do like the question though of like, has the Heisman ruined the NIL? Because or has the Heisman been ruined by NIL? Just because there was a little prestige, right? Winning the Heisman, you get to do commercials. Now that it doesn't matter. Now you get paid no matter what.
You can do anything.
Yes, you can.
You can do anything. And if you have the right sponsorship, you can go for it all. College is a great thing now.
Rick, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say you're not really happy with the current state of the college football world.
Well, it's in flux. We
Okay.
don't know what it really is.
A limb.
Okay.
Would you agree?
It's there's a lot of moving parts. We do Saturdays really well. Monday through Friday, it's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can only imagine what it's like for you guys.
Oh, it's
It's crazy. It's crazy for us out there in the fantasy world.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, thanks for the phone call.
Take care.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Travis Hunter's going to be in the Heisman house.
Do you like those commercials?
Yes.
I love them.
They're nice and creative. It was nice to see all three of Nebraska's Heisman Trophy winners were represented on Saturday night.
Yeah. The Heisman house. My favorite one is when Kyler Murray was caught playing baseball, and then Bo walks in, and they were shaming Murray, but then they were hyping up Bo. I like the Heisman house.
I think Travis Hunter will be very popular in the NFL. He's got a great personality. I think he's
without a doubt.
I think he is. I mean, listen to his speech. He had no notes. It was from the heart. I don't have anything against him.
He's cool.
He's a hell of a player.
I think he's just a cool guy. He's a nice dude off the field, but like he's not a bore on the field. He gets picks. He scores touchdowns. He dances. He's pretty good at it.
I like
enjoys
people
himself.
that have fun.
He has fun.
They have fun at what they're doing. John writes in about Hunter's girlfriend.
This is a popular topic.
She won't be around after the draft. He will figure out he needs to get away from the crazy. I don't know.
Maybe he likes the crazy. He
professes his love to her. Like I think they're all in it. He's already there. They've got plans when their wedding is going to be.
He's
Don't you think if he had friends that were close to him that were on to her, they would be like, "You got to dump her."
You don't think Dion would tell him?
Listen.
You don't think Dion would tell him?
I don't know. I'd use Dion's.
Dion literally brought in Brittany Renner.
But I wouldn't use Dion's. No. Relationship.
He's not taking over for Delilah.
Wait. Dion though has talked about how in the past, like how he messed up all of that stuff and that he made mistakes, and then he brought in Brittany Renner, who's this older, woman who gets with these athletes and whatnot, and had him come in and
Robinson.
talk. Had her come in and talk to the team about how there are women after you guys. There are women who are just want to marry you and to
had the same discussion when I was at Nebraska.
Yeah. So you don't think Dion, who's bringing in that person to have that conversation, who has his past, wouldn't tell Travis, "Hey, you need to dump her if he didn't like her"? You'd think he's talked a lot about it.
I don't know. That'd be an interesting conversation.
Wait till a Kardashian gets her hands on him.
Oh, they're all locked up already. I'm pretty sure.
No, I'm sure that means it's.
I've not been following, so I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure they're dating people. I don't know. Neither have I.
There's still plenty of NBA players. Tristan Thompson now still out there. Lamar Odom.
Tristan Thompson, I think, is still in the league. Pretty sure he's on the Cavaliers right now.
The new Theo Rattler.
Just as a permanent guy that sits at the end of the bench.
Yes.
I don't know about that because even Haslam retired.
No, that guy. He's still on. I saw him in the Cavaliers. He's still good.
Jesus.
He's still
but
there.
Does he
man.
play?
No.
Plays as much as Brad Doherty does.
Is he like an ambassador that dresses for the games? Is he like a guy in the Globetrotters that goes around to all the cities before they show up and does like a press shoot?
Mark Price turned us down, so here's Tristan Thompson.
And he's still playing, man. You want to hear his averages this year?
4.8
Is he with
points.
Cleveland?
He's with Cleveland right now. He's played in 9 games so far with 7 minutes a game. He's averaging 2.9 points.
He doubled his own.
2.9 points and 1.8 rebounds.
Chris says, I love how they brought Reggie Bush back.
Yeah.
That was a nice little highlight.
He shouldn't have been away anyway.
And be in the Heisman house. He'll be doing the next commercial. I imagine you might see a little Reggie Bush, maybe some Travis Hunter.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
I think Travis Hunter.
Bryce Young. As Bryce Young, here's my question. With a guy like Bryce Young, do you have to have a successful NFL career in order to be invited back to the Heisman House, or is he a permanent Heisman House member? Because it's not as if there are tiers of Heismans, right? Yeah, there are tiers.
There's been a good majority of Heisman Trophy winners that did nothing in the NFL.
But he is a lower tier Heisman guy. We don't put him on the same pedestal as we do Robert Griffin and Barry Sanders
or Joe Burrow
or Tim Tebow or any guys like that, right? It's almost as if Barry Sanders is a Heisman winner. Reggie Bush is a Heisman winner. When you look at a guy like Bryce Young, you go, "Oh yeah, he won the Heisman." Mm-hmm. You know, it's not as if there are certain guys they're known for winning the Heisman. Bryce isn't known.
The other guy he was throwing the football to. You watch Devontae Smith on Sundays, and you sometimes have to be reminded he won the Heisman.
Yeah. What a terrible just results from yesterday's slate.
Whoa. One team is 13-1. What do you mean terrible results?
Well, I just thought it'd be more competitive. Like, I just thought it'd be a more competitive week of football. It just wasn't as I was really excited for that Buffalo-Detroit game. That was
we had two bangers going on at the same time. Very rare. We had 4 games on yesterday.
It's weird.
Yeah.
In this market. But yet then we have the 2 bangers between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and then Detroit and Buffalo. Both games didn't turn out to be last second. But then we get these 2 games tonight.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Hey,
they took
you're a Cowboys fan. You don't get to scoff at my team.
I can
Vikings.
You don't
go Vikings.
They should not.
Have you not seen the uniforms they're wearing tonight? They're wearing their winter carnival
Yes,
uniforms,
I did
all
see that.
white.
Don't matter.
In,
You want to bet?
at US Bank Stadium?
How many points you want to give me?
No, you straight up. You said earlier Bears are going to win tonight.
What are we betting?
You name it. We're going straight up here?
Straight up.
Buy 'em lunch.
Straight up.
No,
Vikings.
we already got a lunch bet.
Vikings can still win the North, so they have a lot to play for.
We got a lunch bet going for Indiana Notre Dame.
You
How
have
about
lunch
this? How about
every day.
How about coffee tomorrow? You want coffee? Or you want
Sure.
You know what? I'll do this.
Mhm.
I'll get you your
No,
Milos.
no coffee.
I'll get you your Milos.
No,
the
because
rest of
you
the
can't
week.
get that everywhere.
At Walmart. I can.
You're not going to Walmart. You're not a Walmart guy.
I literally go to Walmart every day.
I don't think you're a
since
Walmart
I've
guy.
been in Lincoln.
I think
love
you're a Walmart guy.
I literally
You're the kind
bought-
of guy that goes to grocery stores that have carpet in the aisles.
I literally bought. That is such a weird insult.
No.
What, you don't like Kohl's?
Hey.
You don't like Macy's? You don't like department stores? What's wrong with a department store? You calling me poor?
Hey.
Is it bad for me to be poor? Or you sitting on, Gary Sharp's
did you
got
just say-
1,800 jobs. Gary Sharp has 18 different jobs. He's so rich. He's so great. He makes so much money. Congratulations. I don't have as many gigs as you do. So yeah, I got to go to a place like Kohl's where there's carpet on the floor so I can have my jeans and wear my shirts.
That's different. I go to Kohl's. I'm talking about a grocery store. There's a chain of
So
grocery
what,
stores
Aldi?
in
Aldi? You don't like
Minnesota.
Aldi?
I like Aldi, but I only go there for an extra quarter,
Shaming me.
or I can do the hack.
I'm sorry, we don't have the luxury of being wanted by all these different places to do broadcasting. Some of us just have to scrap and claw for 4 hours of radio. Ridiculous. Just can't.
Do you want me to feel sorry for you?
No, no one should feel sorry for me. I'm very fortunate.
You've had a Caitlin Clark privileged life.
I have.
Ben Ottie's going to join us at the top of the hour, 1620 The Zone. Man. Banger of a song.
This is a good one.
This is
Makes
the
me
one
think
that
of
will
Miller
make you
Lite.
happy. Good call.
Yeah.
This is
Miller Lite before 8.
Oh yeah. Especially for an 11 a.m. game.
Take a natty light before 8.
We got Matt's attention. He's like,
I'm like I'm like buried in my keyboard, and then like I hear Miller Lite, and I pop
what?
up.
Who? Where?
What?
Texter Bernie writes in. He goes, "How can I get part of these Chicago bets? My wife's from Northwest Indiana and has a friend that bets Bears and White Sox money line every game. These Chicago people are irrational gamblers, and I'm all for it. I can benefit."
I'm not making too many of these bets with people. I know it's a bad bet, guys. I know it's a bad bet. I know.
But you're betting with your heart. I appreciate it. You are longing for a win by the Bears tonight.
I just want, guys. I don't know. I'm just trying to sympathize. I just want the Bears to win, man. I just want to see. Before the season ends, I'd like to just see one win. I understand the argument. You want to lose all of these games.
Hello, Giants.
So you have the highest draft pick you possibly
understood
can.
the mission.
Yes.
I get it.
They're bad.
I get it. They're terrible. I get it. I just want my football team to win just one game. I'm not asking to win out. I'm not asking to go 9-8, okay? Or whatever, whatever they can go. I'm just asking just one game.
I just want my quarterback to be healthy.
High ankle sprain.
The Giants roster, so they've lost 9 in a row, and they're in line to get the number 1 pick. Do you know who has the most touchdown passes currently on their roster?
Malik Neighbors.
Tim Boyle. Damn. That's the shape that the Giants are in. All right, Ben Otte will join us next. We'll talk some portaling, some coaching, and maybe some Boston colleging. Which is coming up a week from Saturday in the bowl game, which is going to be a great TV viewing spot. This is not a Christmas song.
Feel fine.
I'm just going to go out there and tell you this is not a Christmas song.
Where you're going, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Hour 3 coming next. All right. Josh Allen has won the MVP.
Yeah, good for him.
I just saw that on the Twitter. People don't sleep on Lamar Jackson's season.
The Lions are done.
And it's going to be unfortunate because it'll be primarily due to injuries, which will force Dan Campbell to get squeezed and make irrational decisions. That's what's happened to their season, which is kind of sad because now we're going to be stuck with Buffalo and Philadelphia playing for the Super Bowl.
Oh, whoa. What do you mean? You're off? You're out on your team?
I'm not out. I will never be out of my team. I just want everybody to know that they are 13-1. But in a division or not a division, but a AFC, which rushes the quarterback pretty well, we can't protect anything.
Listen,
yes, I did say we.
Listen, you got Patrick Mahomes. You did it last year. I know that
guy's running for his life. They don't protect him. I don't know. He's actually, man, I think he has kept it in because he could snap.
Oh,
whether it be, hey, how about we run the ball on 3rd and 2, Mr. Nagy or Andy Reid? And then how about protecting me?
Yeah.
But the AFC is a sack the quarterback league.
It is.
And the protection isn't getting any better. And that worries me. I always take 1587 and Andy Reid going into any game. But if you can't protect 15, you're going to have some issues.
Well, that is the only time, right, that they've ever really lost was – no, I guess they lost Cincinnati. That was just
Tampa in the Super Bowl.
That was it, right? Like that's the only time they've been exposed in the playoffs is when they haven't been able to protect them.
All right, let's welcome in Ben Oddie to kick off the week. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
We're doing wonderful. How about yourself?
I'm feeling pretty good. Vibes are high on this Monday morning.
Absolutely.
In what area?
I feel like every area. I'm feeling really good. I really enjoyed watching that volleyball win yesterday.
Yeah.
I was more excited to watch volleyball than I was the NFL, which as a football guy like myself, I'll just be real, doesn't happen a ton, but I was right. I woke up yesterday just pumped for some volleyball.
Heck yeah.
That's something you don't hear every day.
No.
I woke up pumped for some volleyball.
We are in a bit of a lull though in the NFL. Like we're getting not a lull, but next week will be the playoffs weeks. Here's the list of things that you need to do in order to get in. Here's a list of things you can't do to get out. This is the last week before that really picks up. So Ben, I give you a ton of credit. It's a volleyball skate.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm with you there.
All right, let's discuss a little football thing here. So coming up at the Pop-Tarts Bowl is Iowa State and Miami. They unveiled their brand new trophy yesterday that has a built-in toaster at the top of the trophy. Is that the best bowl trophy or is that the greatest bowl trophy that has ever been unveiled?
I definitely think it is the greatest. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I can't lie to you. I love it.
I think that it should. I would rather go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl right now than the Pinstripe Bowl. Just to win a trophy that it is a legit toaster on the trophy.
Looks great.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That thing is pretty sick.
It's a football toaster.
Now, granted, Pop-Tarts just out of the box taste better than Pop-Tarts toasted.
All right, you're crazy.
All right, no, I'm kind of with you on this, Gary. I can't lie. I'm kind of with you on this.
Wow.
Just nice out of the box. You don't have to throw it in the toaster. You don't have to warm up the filling.
What a bad take of radio. Jeez, guys.
Hey, I'm the opposite because I like my Uncrustables microwaved, not just thrown in the fridge.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, I like my peanut butter
hot?
Warm. I like my fruit just normal.
All right, Gary, you're 1 for 2.
There you go. Thank you, Ben.
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I have to explain this because I think
you just like things warm. You like your house at 87 degrees.
Yeah.
You're just a warm human.
I actually meant to mention this. I was trying to think of creative ways to mention this. What is going on with that, Gary?
Oh, it was great. I woke up Saturday morning and it reached 83 in my hotel room in Waterloo. It was perfect. And I was upset because we stayed in Ames Saturday night and it would only go up to 78. And it took a while to get to 78. I was very disappointed. I almost thought I would have to check into a different hotel.
Do you have a deodorant sponsor? Like, what do you?
I don't sweat. I don't sweat. I just like to be warm.
Do you not have pores?
I have pores.
Ben, how are we feeling about the Nwaneri pickup? I mean, we haven't talked to you. We haven't talked to you since that happened. They go out to get the number 1 D end of last year's class. after a lot of worry, a lot of panic about where this D-line is heading. What was your reaction, and how confident now are you feeling about this D-line?
I do feel really good about that. That's a huge pickup for us because I think that was a big thing is when we saw some of these, really good guys enter the portal. My worry wasn't necessarily that we couldn't go get guys. It was the quality of the guys we could bring in, if that makes sense. And that was my worry is I feel like a lot of the guys we were losing weren't necessarily, they weren't like this, addition by subtraction. It's like, no, we're missing some pieces here. We need to go get some pieces to fill it in. And I feel like that was a perfect addition in terms of just like, hey, what is out there that you can bring in from the portal? I felt like that was big. That does give me some good confidence in this defensive line for going into next year. I'll be interested to see, what else we can pick up throughout these, next few weeks. But yeah, I thought that was really huge just for the up front, just because we are missing some guys from up there, and just having an absolute dude up there, I feel like could be a real big game changer just because we're going to be missing some dudes, that are leaving, through the D line, whether it's graduation or from the portal. So that could be, to me, that's a huge addition, and I love it.
So you live in the Kansas City area. Have you seen him play in person, or
I have not seen him play.
People that have seen
I have not seen him play in person. But I mean, I'm just hearing about him. He's an absolute stud.
Why do you think? And maybe it's just the physicality and adjusting to playing on the defensive line in the SEC. Why do you think he didn't pop at Mizzou? Because he was supposed to be a saver for Eli Drinkwitz.
Right. That's a good question. I think maybe it is just some of that adjustment coming from the high school level coming into, the SEC defensive level. I think that probably just plays a big factor in it. I think if he would have been at Mizzou again, for next year, I think he would have been a stud for them. But hey, not their problem now. He's going to be our stud now. So I'm not too worried about that. But that is kind of an interesting question. But I do think it probably just had to do with that adjustment going from high school into college, and dropping into the SEC isn't going to be an easy task.
Gary and I earlier were talking about the expectations that we have for Dylan Raiola next season and what we think that he should be accomplishing and the level that he should be playing at. I want to get your perspective on it. Where do you think Dylan needs to be at? What level do you expect him to jump to next season?
We definitely need a step up from him, and I felt like, and I've been guilty of it as well, of just kind of this last season of almost expecting it more at times, especially just because of how well he started off. Like when you think about, like, he had the best true freshman quarterback season for sure in the Big Ten, and you can make a good argument he was the best true freshman quarterback in the country. And there were times where we were like, oh man, we just need a little bit more from him. So, and I'm guilty of that as well. You know what I mean? Of just kind of wanting a little bit more. But I do think going into next season, especially having Dana Holgorsen, like Dana Holgorsen is going to make it as easy as he can on Dylan to be able to go out there and make plays. His reads are going to be, simple, by Division I standards, just the air raid concepts of getting guys open. So I do think that we are going to need a big step up from him. And I think if Dana Holgorsen was not the offensive coordinator going into next year, my expectations wouldn't necessarily be as high. But I do feel like that is a really big piece of the equation, is having a guy like Dana Holgorsen in there.
They can bring the best out of him.
Make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So what's more important to him? An OC that designs and does the things along lines of what you were saying, or a quarterback guru that helps with the just simple part of playing quarterback from the feet to the head?
For me, I think it's the offensive coordinator that can go out there and scheme his way and get guys open. And because for me, just my watching of Dylan Raiola is through those last, 3 games, particularly like the Wisconsin game for sure. And we even saw some in the Iowa game of some of the things we have, seen about him, about the footwork that needs some work, or his eyes not being the greatest, did improve under Dana Holgorsen, even in that short time. So I do think having a guy like Dana Holgorsen, I think when the scheme and getting guys open, I just think that helps him overall, and that helps his eyes and helps his feet. So for me, that's the most important thing.
Is there anything Marcus Satterfield did well this past year?
No.
No. I'm
I want to be fair and ask the question.
I can't think of one.
So, Ben, you said on Twitter after John Butler got hired that he was probably your 5th or 6th choice. Now that he has had a press conference, he's talked to the media, there have been some more anecdotes on the type of coach he is and how the players respond to him. After now it's been a couple of days since they've made it official, where are you at on the hiring of John Butler as Nebraska's offensive coordinator?
I think maybe I was a little bit more negative than maybe I should have been, but I mean, I'm it's fine. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to come on there and act like I'm, going to be smarter or know more about what's going on than Matt Rule. It just wouldn't have been my first choice. But I mean, hey, if he believes in him, the players believe in him. Hey, who am I to, sit there and say it's not going to work? I definitely hope it works. Like, I'm not ever going to come on here and hope for that. I hope it's a slam dunk. It's just, it wouldn't have been my first choice, I guess. And so I feel fine on it. I don't hate it, but I'm also not going to lie and say that, like, I'm not going to do a 180 and say I'm completely 100% for it. No questions asked. It's fine, I guess.
What do you think if you were a promising upcoming, defensive coordinator that looked at Nebraska and was like, man, I'd like to go there and work there. That's a place where I could do work, but I can't run the system that I'm most comfortable with. You would just then move on to the next job? I mean, how much of a factor do you think in the stability and familiarity of promoting John Butler compared to somebody coming in with a brand new system that would be different from what Matt Rule had said 2 weeks prior about what he likes about what the defense currently does?
No, and I think that was the biggest thing was with John Butler is that the system was going to stay exactly the same. I think that did play a factor because, again, a lot of these guys that would want, I think, to use Nebraska as, the defensive coordinator spot. If you're a good enough defensive coordinator to come in and get a lot of money from Nebraska, are you a guy that doesn't want to run your own scheme, if that makes sense? Like, if you're good enough for that, you're going to be good enough to want to go a place to run your stuff. And I'm not saying that's good or bad on Nebraska's part right now because I want to see it in action next year or whatever. But, I do think that definitely played a factor, and I do think that played a factor as to why John Butler got the bump up. I'll be interested to see with more, I guess, continuity from the defensive coordinator and, a secondaries coach and all that, if the coverage gets better. Because obviously this year I just felt like our switch to, just more cover 2, Tampa 2, and match quarters. I just feel like I just felt like that wasn't the greatest tactical decision throughout this last year, but maybe not having a DC who's mostly a cover 1 and cover 3 guy like Tony White was, maybe that played some sort of factor in there. So we'll see. Maybe having a more, I guess, cohesive vision might benefit the team more than I think.
Hey, when do you think they made that decision to change up the defense from 23 to 24? Prior to July 1 or post July 1?
That is, I think, like, I don't know, maybe a month ago, whenever, I think I said that to you and Nick at one point, is I think that's a very good question on when that decision got made. I don't know. I really wish I could get an answer on that because I have a hard time believing it was before John Butler was hired. I don't know. Maybe I could be completely off base on that. I have a hard time believing that we had, a secondaries coach and a defensive coordinator who's been super aggressive, run a lot of cover 0, cover 1, and cover 3, and then all of a sudden we're switching to more of a match quarter system and running some Tampa 2 in there. That's just not something we saw in 23, and that was kind of some of the questions. When John Butler got hired as the secondaries coach, I remember going on, my YouTube channel and a couple other podcasts and all that and saying, like, I'm curious to see how that looks. Like, are we going to be, like, I assumed we'd still be running Tony White stuff, and I was wondering how John Butler was going to transition into that. I was completely wrong in the fact that we ended up running a lot of John Butler's coverage schemes. So I don't know. And I think that's a very good question. And I really wish I could get an answer on that, but I just have a hard time believing right now, unless I heard differently, that it was a decision made prior to John Butler being hired.
Ben, great stuff as always.
Thanks, Ben.
This is our last chat before the calendar flips to 2025. You've been a great addition to the show. I appreciate the insight and also everybody getting to learn more about you and consume your content, which you'll be busy leading up to the 28th.
Yes, 100%. And Gary, I really appreciate you having me on every week. I really appreciate the friendship that, we've kind of started and we had with Nick and Matt. I'm very happy to be able to talk to you as well last week and this week. You seem like a very good addition to the show, so I really do appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks, Ben. Happy holidays.
You as well, my friend.
Ben Oddie, you can follow him at the BA Coaches Show. If you were an outsider that listens to The Zone, what would you think Nebraska's defense did this past year?
Oh, I think they went from like being a top 25 defense to being like average. I don't think you would think that they were still a top 25 defense this year. But look, the expectations were high, and the expectations were that, hey, this was a new system that they kind of just learned in a year, and then they'd take a step forward. They didn't take a step forward, and I think that's disappointing. And at the same time, though, I don't think they are 6-6 solely because of that defense and the fact that they didn't take that big step forward.
I think also we can make I'm not going to say an assumption because I'm going to say this is probably a fact that the DC knows the defensive back hire compared to what happened last July.
Yes.
Ted Roof is the guy that is the connection between John Butler and Addison Williams.
I will say this. I think it was pre-July 1st they decided to go more quarters and cover 2 because I think that's what Matt wanted to do. I think Matt wanted to do...
It's Matt Rule's defense.
Yeah. He wanted more 4-man fronts. He wanted more 2 high safeties, 2 high corners. That's what he wanted. He talked about it in the press conferences. I don't think Butler was walking in and, swinging a big stick and saying, this is what we're going to do now.
That would have been pretty ballsy.
If he just goes, cover 2.
Been here for a month, Tony. I looked at your defense. This is what we're going to do.
Quarters.
Yeah. All right.
Ow, I hurt my finger.
On to 2025. Usually,
I just jammed the crap out of my middle finger.
Yours sounded kind of light.
Wrong industry then.
When you did that, yours sounded kind of light. When I do it, it sounds like a phone book dropping. Evan Bland from the World Herald still to come. Jacob Bigelow will talk some ball. Nebraska beat Indiana. Nebraska doesn't play until next weekend or this upcoming weekend. Creighton coming off their loss at Alabama. They open Big East play Wednesday night in D.C. against Georgetown. And I saw a team that moved in the national championship yesterday in Iowa State. Very few holes for ISU.
Wow, I agree, man. I agree. When I saw them against Iowa was
the
impressive.
SEC and Iowa State and San Antonio.
Take me with.
Wow, that's a board. Write that up on the board. That's a good one.
I'm not ready to go there yet.
Okay,
I'm not willy nilly like you. I'm more measured. You like to just get in there and do. I like to survey the situation and then see what's out there.
Plus,
and then I selectively go in and do.
This is why we are pretty good together. I come in and
you're the young gun,
and you're patient. You're Mayweather. You're feathering in, your shoulder rolling. You're going here. I'm Hagler. Wow. I'm bang, 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 and then you pick me apart.
Yeah,
mentally and physically.
I like to look at myself as the white Bud Crawford on radio. I survey my opponent.
I like to think of myself as the white Marvin Hagler on radio.
I'll still take my Bud. I like to survey the situation. I like to let you, get your shots in, and then I study you, and
take pictures,
and then I take
pictures.
Then I take you down. That's how I look at my approach here.
I'm like Habib Nurmagomedov of radio. I grab your legs and I take you to deep water. I drown you.
Exactly. If you know, you know. He wanted to say that name. There was no other reason than he wanted to say that name.
What? Habib Nurmagomedov? Like one of the greatest UFC fighters ever?
Just keep saying the name.
Nurmagomedov.
I mean, you could have gone like, the Jake Paul. Conor
related
McGregor.
To Burke?
Buchten gel.
Ooh.
I got it.
Ooh.
I study.
Jacob's taught you well.
Who's Jacob?
Damn.
Wow. How soon he forgets, huh?
Wow.
His good friend.
He's
coming up in about 40 minutes.
Oh, Bigelow. I got a lot.
You forgot.
I got a lot of Jacobs in my life. I really don't. I got one. It's just Biggs. Biggs is my only friend. That's Jacob.
That should be a good conversation then.
He'll be offended.
He will be.
He'll be disappointed.
It happens.
He's going to make fun of me, though.
It happens. You guys might break up on the air. It'll be kind of sad, but you'll move on.
We'll find better people. We'll find better media members.
Now we are going deep into the waters.
Now we are drowning. We're currently drowning on the radio.
That's Matt. I'm Gary. There's Jimmy. Show's called Gary and Matt. 1620 The Zone. Hey, is somebody looking for something, Jimmy?
I got an email that the lobby is missing a tree.
So is it a all staff email or specifically to you?
It was just to me. Certainly, I'm not getting blamed because that's.
Say you've not seen it. You weren't even familiar that there was a tree in the lobby of NRG Media in Omaha.
Let me tell you something right now. Do you know what I say? Do you know what I say? Do you know what I say, Gare?
Welcome to a Mississippi State game.
Hey, come and take it.
That's what they said at the Alamo.
Come and take it.
And they did.
We're Texas. We're a Texas radio station. Come and take. I dare you. I dare you.
How did that work?
I dare you.
You know, why don't we leave that up to you?
Send the cavalry. Come on.
My money, I believe that Cynthia would be minus 350.
Against me?
Yeah, against you.
I think Cynthia is the only one who could probably come and take this tree for me. Everybody else is getting these hands, and I think I'd be a pretty good favorite against most of these people in the building.
Okay, I think this is a good first test for you.
Who wins in a battle royale amongst all the people of 1620?
On the zone?
Peter, Jimmy, Nick, Josh Odson, Happer, myself, you, Bishop, Peterson.
Too many NARPs. I would go with.
I think I'm the favorite.
Jason over on Sweet 98. He's cock diesel.
Actually, I'm going to go with Crash.
He has fluffed himself in the bathroom before, and I watched him. Yeah. All right. DC writes in to the Equitable Bank inbox. He goes, catching up from the start about John Cook. He goes, I loved his comments in the court interview when asked about land fair. Quote, that's what we pay her for. That was good stuff. How about the analyst who said, this is the happiest I've ever seen her, and essentially crushed her time at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Now, they have a new coach at Minnesota.
That's why she left.
So
she was player of the year, and then her coach left, and she, had a disappointing last season compared to where she was.
She had a disappointing start to her career in Nebraska.
She wasn't seeing the court as much as we anticipated. But, this is a little bit of I'm going to compare, and I really do think it's a spot-on comparison. I don't want people to roll their eyes like, here's another Chicago reference. But I do think this Nebraska volleyball team very much is like the 2015 Cubs to the 2016 Cubs, where the 2015 Cubs was they were this really young team, right? They had a lot of these young stars, Russell, Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, right? This come up. You're excited about it. It's a storybook type of run that they're going on. And then they get very deep in the playoffs and they get crushed, right? Cubs get swept by Daniel Murphy and the Mets. Nebraska volleyball loses, gets dominated in the national championship game. And that next year they're dialed in. It's national championship or nothing. It's World Series or nothing. And both teams went from young, slightly inexperienced, storybook, happy-go-lucky go, we're so successful, to locked in, razor's edge, gonna go and get you. And both teams had big free agency pickups heading into the year. Jason Hayward, Taylor Landfair. Both of them get off to really disappointing starts into their careers on both their teams. But in the playoffs, when it mattered the most, Jay Hay was there, Taylor was there. I think there are a lot of parallels between just a young team who had a storybook happy run that ended terribly, and then they turned into these killers. And right now, Nebraska volleyball, I'll keep saying it, they're killers, and if they play like they did yesterday, the rest of the way, they will dominate their way to a national championship.
So who is the David Ross of the current Nebraska volleyball team? Who's the John
Laney
Lester?
Showboy. I think Laney is David Ross.
Who's John Lester? Who's the professor?
Merritt Beeson.
Who is Aroldis Chapman?
No comment. No comment.
Oh, man, I wanted to hear what you were
I
going
was
to
just
say.
like when they make the movie, I was trying to figure out who's going to play who.
Harper's Chris Bryant. I think Merritt's John Lester. I think that you could call Andy Jackson Kyle Schwarber.
Who's Javi Baez? Who's
Lexi,
playing the role of Addison
Lexi.
Russell?
That's another bad one. That's another one that we won't mention. There's a lot, but don't you agree? There are there's parallels. It's right there.
I can see where you're going.
I mean, this is a team that's young, that was a little bit in over their head last year with just the success they had, and they thought it was normal, and they got a really big reality check when they struggled against Texas. But I think that losing to Texas in the manner in which they did was the best thing that could have happened to them. Now, obviously, the best thing that could have happened to them is to win the national championship.
But they might not be in the same situation they are right now if they would not have lost to Texas.
And if they lost to Texas in a close one and like in a 5-setter, right? I don't know if they get the same reaction heading into this year because you're more disappointed than you are motivated. The fact that they got whooped by them motivated them.
See, I think they wake up every day and they're like, you know what, we're really good. We're really good, and this is what we do. And when we play like we should, then we're going to be the best of the sport. And I don't think they ride the wave.
No.
Like they are the same after SMU. Now they're a little bit different today. Now you're going to the Final Four, but there's not a lot of highs and lows.
No.
I mean, they're well built. They're a dominant program that when they get out of bed and they put their feet on the floor, the expectation is that they're going to be one of the last 4 teams standing every year, and they have to find out a way to get there. And then they've got a headmaster who is a director, and they talk things into existence.
Absolutely.
He's not afraid to put things out there because he's got a great vibe on this team. That's the one thing about this team, because they are free spirits. I mean, he lets them have a lot of free reign because he trusts them, and they also trust him. And that's a two-way street that John Cook has been able to accomplish over about a 5-7 year run where he let the players lead and then he led with them. Instead of he led and the players did what they were told to do, players said, Coach, we got this. And instead of him being a control freak and going, because my butt's on the line, he's like, okay, I'll entertain this. And he had a group of seniors about 7 years ago that said, Coach, just relax. We got this. Don't worry about it. And he said, okay. And what did they do? They took that green light from their head coach and they took off. They won a national championship. And since then, he's kind of been that way. He's kind of like he's let players be who they are, be student athletes, have a free spirit, not be robots. And you know what? Everybody's showing a human side. He was in tears at the edge of the court yesterday. That tells you a lot about how much this program, how much that team, and how much the journey every year should never be taken for granted. That's why the man's the GOAT. He's the GOAT in that sport, and he's one of the greatest college coaches, period, of any sport.
What do they say about football? The best coach teams are player-led organizations. He's turned this volleyball program into a player-led organization. And listen to that press conference. Harper Murray sitting up there talking really great with Lexi Rodriguez, goes out of her way to shout out Kennedy Orr to say, Kennedy played great. She knows her role. She does her role the best. We all love each other. Like, that's the type of culture. There are championship level teams. There's championship level talent and there's championship level culture. You need to have both in order to win a championship. They have both.
Evan Bland going to join us next. He spent the weekend covering volleyball. We'll get his thoughts as Nebraska and Penn State play Thursday night. It is the up-and-comingers in Pitt and Louisville, and then there's the Blue Bloods. 12 national championships between Nebraska and Penn State. Penn State beat Nebraska earlier this year at Rec Hall.
Yeah,
to become co-Big Ten champions, and now they meet in Louisville around 8 o'clock Central Time on Thursday night. Evan's coming up next. All right, welcome back in. Gary and Matt, and Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, who is dabbling in a little volleyball coverage. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
So you don't usually slide over and help with volleyball coverage, but you did this weekend. What do you think that atmosphere is like if you're an opposing team playing Nebraska?
I think it's suffocating. It can be overwhelming. The Devaney was just on fire on Sunday, and I tweeted it out a couple times, but it felt like there were at least 10 moments where, your hair kind of stands on end, because it's like the crowd just anticipates these big moments, and that when they happen, it's just the roof comes off the place. And, Wisconsin has been in big time environments before, and their players on Friday said that when the crowd kind of got behind A&M, they took that as fuel. But I think it was a different deal on Sunday, with just the ferocity that the crowd had. And, they know when to kind of get behind their own team and kind of try to get them going. They can sense in those big moments, like the momentum plays when it goes their way, like that long rally in the second set that went like 45 seconds. Like you could just kind of hear the crescendo as that was playing out. And then it goes for that overpass to Andy Jackson. And it's a group that really rises to the moment. It's not new to this, obviously. Nebraska volleyball has been good for a long time, so it's sort of a veteran crowd, if that makes sense in a way as well. Yeah. And so it all kind of it works in their favor. And then of course, Nebraska's really good, and they played outstanding, and it all just kind of snowballed. What an impressive performance to sweep Wisconsin the way they did.
Is there any what's the biggest difference, Evan, between this year's team and last year's team? Because last year's team was great. Last year's team makes it all the way to the national championship. But do you see anything different between this group and last year's group?
A little more experience. I think that's the big thing. I mean, the thing a year ago was, hey, that there's no seniors on this team, and a ton of talent, but maybe not as much experience. Now they've all been through it. Like all the key players pretty much have been to a Final Four, and they've won a Big Ten title, and they've done all the stuff. And so, they played in front of, the biggest crowd ever to play to see a volleyball match at Memorial Stadium. They've done the ESPN documentaries. Mm-hmm. They've had the attention. They've gone through everything. And so it's very similar to that team. And kind of the thing I've said about this team too, that I think really sets it apart, is like, it's right up there in terms of the most talented Nebraska teams ever. I'd put it up there with those mid 2000s teams. But it also has the chemistry of like that 2008 team that everybody loves, that pushed Penn State to the limit. Like these girls, you can tell, like they really do care about each other. And you can tell when you have girls like Kennedy Orr and Lindsay Krause who could transfer and be starters somewhere else, and they say, no, I want to stay because like we've got something special here. Like that's the mark of a really special situation. So like you have that, you have the talent, it's all sort of come together. It feels like this has been more of a 2-year arc maybe than a 1-year arc. And so, I mean, what a just kind of intersection of a lot of really interesting circumstances. And I think they're playing about as well as you could hope. And man, I think the other thing I'd say too is like the depth was as on display as ever on Sunday, where, I mean, the first set you have Taylor Landfair coming out of nowhere and generating the offense, and Andy Jackson in the second set serving as a big spark, and Lexi Rodriguez diving all over the place, and Lainey Choboy in the back row. Like it feels like they could go 2 or 3 deep at every position and hang with just about everybody in the country. So what a situation. And, here they are back in the Final Four, and we'll see if this is the year they can close the deal.
So the run for the Roses, was it just to get to Louisville, or is it national title or bust?
Oh, it's got to be national title. I mean, they set the stage within minutes of losing the title game a year ago when Harper Murray said, we're going to get back and we're going to we're going to win, not one, not two, and kind of go on from there. Like, this has been in their minds for a long time. And if you're a big volleyball fan, you booked your tickets and hotel in Louisville months ago, maybe many months ago.
True.
So this is sort of the expectation, was that they would get back to this point. And, there's no reason to think that they wouldn't, with everybody that they had back and how they strengthened themselves in the portal and just what they've done all season. So, you get Penn State on a neutral court. I think the result can be different than what it was at Rec Hall a few weeks ago. That was a Nebraska team that was on the road. I think the second part of a road trip on the road. Now it's in a neutral setting, and they've been there, and it's sort of uncharted territory for like that group of Penn State players on the other side. So, I think that all plays into their favor as well. And then, if they were to win, I think Pittsburgh, Nebraska in the final would be really compelling television. Pittsburgh's been dominant all year. The Louisville angle would be interesting too, with Danny Busboom Kelly and her Nebraska ties and everything. But I think the two best teams probably have been Pitt and Nebraska for the vast majority of the year. So see if they can keep it going. They've been on a heater. I think maybe with the exception of maybe a late night set against Dayton on Friday night, like they've just been laser focused, and kind of their thing has been every point is a national championship match point. And if they've acted like that for a lot of this postseason run. So no reason to think they can't keep it going. And it really does feel like maybe the only team that can beat Nebraska right now is itself. And even then, it's going to take more than like one or two players not playing up to their potential, because they have so much depth behind them.
Lexi Rodriguez is, at this point, a shoe-in to set the all-time Nebraska digs record. She's 8 away right now. What are you going to remember about her 4-year career at Nebraska, Evan?
I'm going to remember, I think, just the joy with which she plays the game. That stands out to me. Like, there have been great liberos in college volleyball before, but not all of them have just kind of the obvious passion in the moment, where they're just like, this is fun. Sure. She's the kind of player who you're just like, wouldn't it be fun to be on the court with Lexi Rodriguez right now? And like, she's grinning and she's high-fiving. And her last match in the Devaney was really one for the ages. That long rally I was talking about, she has the one-handed sort of lefty dive into the net support, and then she gets up and takes a blast off her forearms that goes over, and she's just kind of laughing and doing the whole thing. So like, I think just that rare combination of like, she's clearly talented, has the drive, the dedication, but like just she's been the heart and soul really of Nebraska volleyball for the last at least 3 years, probably 4. And that's harder to do at that position, right? Like, usually your setter, or maybe one of your hitters sort of is that person that sets the tone, or is that person that is sort of just the guts of your team. And I think it just takes a special person and special talent for that to be your libero, the one in the different colored jersey back there. So she's been a real leader. You're going to remember the acrobatic moments and the digs record. And to pass Justine, Wong-Orantes, like that's high level stuff for someone who was an Olympian too. So it'll be fun to see where her career goes, but no doubt, she's going to be one of those players in Nebraska's decorated volleyball history. I think she'd be high up there on the list of fan favorites.
Hey, let's shift over to football, because Addison Williams is coming from Central Florida. So Nebraska gets a second guy from Central Florida about 6-7 years later. But as he joins, there is no he played for Rule, or he played in the NFL, or he coached in the NFL. It's just he was at South Carolina when John Butler was there. He's kind of worked his way up, spending time in the South in the last 4 years at UCF. Now with his addition, and probably the last one before the bowl game, I would think, are you noticing a theme of the Matt Rule coaching staff 2.0 that will go into 25? Is there a theme that starts with Dana and all the way down to the most recent addition?
I think to me it's sort of two pronged. Like you've got a greater emphasis on experience, which you see with Holgorsen, which I think you see with John Butler, which I suppose you could say you see with Addison Williams, certainly, as a DC. But then you also have the other side of it, which is, okay, if we're going to have younger coaches, they're going to be elite recruiters. And so that's where you see Philip Simpson and Jamar Mosey, who's now in his second year. And so I think that's kind of the two areas or the two buckets maybe that they're looking to fill. And so there's just maybe that whole adage of get old, stay old out of the portal in terms of player rosters. Maybe that is something that they're putting a little bit more emphasis on the coaching side of things. And, you think about it through the years with past Nebraska coaches, there have been staffs where it has felt like they've been a lot of younger guys, a lot of coaches who are on their way up in their careers, or it was a stepping stone spot, or, this was a spot that would be maybe the highlight of their careers to that point. This is not that way. I mean, Holgorsen, you put his time at Nebraska, that's going to be at the end of his career, maybe the third or fourth most interesting spot that he's been in. Williams to this point, he's not a coordinator. He's going to be the secondary coach. Phil Snow, kind of the same sort of thing. Like there's sort of like footnotes, I suppose, when you start talking about the career highlights of these guys. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And credit Matt Rhule for recognizing in the current college football landscape that like the head coach probably is not going to be doing a ton of actual coaching for the majority of the season. I mean, you're going to be fundraising and you're recruiting the portal and bringing back your own guys. And so to bring in guys who are experts with the X's and O's, who can scheme it up, who can identify talent and put them in the right places, like you need more of that from the assistants than you've ever had before because your head coach just doesn't have the time. So I think Rhule's felt that certainly the last year or two. And so you bring, I think Snow is the most interesting example where right now he wouldn't even have like a designated position to coach. He's just kind of there as like the head coach, as the guy who doesn't have all the other stuff the actual head coach has to do. Like that's a reflection of where we are. And I think that's a really sort of insightful hire that Matt Rhule's had bringing him in too.
So Williams Nwaneri, big pickup at the D line. This team is going to need a couple more transfer portal pickups if they're going to put themselves in the position that they want to be in heading into next year and make that big year 3 Matt Rhule jump that we have been almost promised at this point, or campaign to that is coming. Where does the next big transfer portal pickup have to come from, Evan? What position do you think that they got to zero in on the most and make a splash in the portal with?
Well, I mean, you look at their offers out there, and there are a few groups. I mean, the receiver spot is certainly one. They've got visits set up or have had visits with a couple high-end guys, Eric Rivers being one, Isaiah Hunter out of Cal being the other. And you're seeing them offer a whole bunch of defensive linemen when you talk about trying to backfill guys who are either graduating or who have left for the portal already. So I think those are probably your top 2 spots.
Yeah.
And I'm interested too to see what they do with the offensive line. I mean, they've been really aggressive with some of the top tackles in the portal. Isaiah World from Nevada visited this weekend, and he's regarded as one of the more coveted prospects that are in the portal right now. And again, like those guys, especially quality offensive tackles, are not cheap. And so clearly Nebraska feels like it needs to upgrade at that spot, which is, I think, somewhat interesting because, again, you in theory could bring back Turner Corcoran for his 6th year. You had Gunnar Gatula, who did pretty well out there, though you are going to have to replace Bryce Benhart on the right side. So, I mean, clearly Nebraska's felt like they needed to shore up that spot with at least a 1-year veteran or maybe a 2-year guy potentially. So, those are the kind of the spots. And as we've said, like if you're bringing in a quality lineman on either side of the ball, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. And those receivers that I mentioned are pretty sought after as well. So this isn't Nebraska sort of nickel and diming it or finding a guy that if you squint, maybe you see some good measurables. Like they're going after guys that many other schools are chasing as well. So, Matt Rule said it last week, with the resources Nebraska has now, they're a have in the current college football climate, even though the wins haven't necessarily been there. So their ability to land some of these pieces and use guys like Dylan Raiola to help recruit them and how that goes, I think is going to be really interesting. And certainly with Nwaneri, I mean, that was another example of a guy who even a year ago wasn't coming to Nebraska under the setup at the time. And so we'll see how that continues to maybe tilt toward Nebraska's favor when it comes to talent acquisition. But I would think, again, kind of the linemen and the receiver spots would probably be some of the positions you'll see commitments from here in the near future.
Hey, Evan, we appreciate it. The next time we talk to you, it'll be into the 2025, and who knows what will happen between now and the first Monday in 2025.
Can't wait. Thanks, guys.
Hey, are you going to Louisville, by the way?
No, I don't think so. No,
okay.
I'll be watching on TV with everybody else.
Are you going to New York?
Going to New York.
Okay, attaboy.
Yep. Christmas night, and I got to have to watch Home Alone 2 to get ready.
Oh, nicely done. Evan, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you and your wonderful family.
Merry Christmas, guys. Thanks.
That's Evan Bland. You can stay at home and watch TV, by the way. ABC, live sports in primetime, 6 of the next 10 nights.
Heck yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings are on TV tonight.
Did you watch
the Bucks and Thunder?
Did you watch Yellowstone?
Yes.
How was it?
It ended.
Happy, disappointed?
I got thoughts.
Landman. Have you been watching that? Landman with Billy Bob Thornton?
You told us to watch
it.
it.
Totally watch it.
Yeah. Oh, you told me to watch it?
Yeah.
I started watching it.
What do you think?
Love it, dude.
Yes.
Ready to move to Midland.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. Midland, Texas. Maybe Nebraska gets a portal quarterback from Midland, Texas this week. And then they have the playoff on Friday, Saturday, and then they have Saints-Packers is the Monday night game.
Yeah.
And then Christmas, Lakers-Warriors. NBA season starts on Christmas.
Yeah, apparently they're doing a Disney deal with the Spurs.
What?
Yeah, Spurs and Knicks are playing Christmas Day at 11, and they're doing a Mickey and Minnie Mouse thing like the Simpsons football game.
Yeah, they just need to focus on their product. They got to stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Just, maybe actually have your superstars play and, actually try and market your guys as likable humans instead of diva prima donnas who make way too much money.
Luka, triple-double last night, had 45.
I love Luka, but
Golden State Dallas, 48
threes. I'm just saying.
We're back, baby.
Adam Silver might be one of the worst commissioners that's just not talked about. We hammer
Rob
Manfred.
Manfred's going to get offended.
We hammer Manfred, and we hammer Goodell, but no one has overseen a bigger drop in ratings and viewership over the last decade than Adam Silver has, yet we don't say a word about it.
Shout out Larry O'Brien.
It's embarrassing.
Jacob Bigelow, on that note, will join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, last hour on a Monday.
It's been a good Monday. It's been an energetic Monday.
Matt was showing me how to box.
I
during
was.
the break.
He doesn't know.
Southpaw.
Gary, he was scared. We squared up. Jimmy saw it. We squared up because we were saying that.
He goes, let me show you how to box.
Gary goes, I would defeat you mentally and physically. And I go maybe mentally because you got the wise years on me. But I go physically, no. And then he was like, I dominate you. Then I said, let's go to Southside Boxing. Let's throw down. He goes, let's go right now. We square. I'm going to tell you right now.
Bud Crawford in studio.
The reaction. It was like a cheetah and a panther. It was. We were up. We were ready.
Like
and then
Chester?
Gary, you should have seen the face on Gary. Jimmy saw it when I put my right hand out to jab. When he saw that I had my left hand loaded, he goes, "Oh no, what's going on?" Like he doesn't know how to fight against a southpaw.
All with
he
a
was
tree in
scared
the background.
But say, I know how to fight against a guy that doesn't tie his shoes. I would have stepped on your shoelaces. You would have looked down, and then it was over.
You fight like a Nurmagomedov. Crotch sniffing style, Gary Sharp.
Whoa.
Wow.
Hi, Jacob.
Hey guys, top of the morning to you. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Do you fight like a crotch sniffer?
Do I look like I fight anybody, Gary? I don't think I don't
Now I'm getting words from the post Indiana basketball game on Friday night that you were swaggy B.
Yeah, I was. He was wearing the sweater, this little knitted sweater, this little number must come off the Nordstrom rack.
Nice.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, no, I liked my outfit on Friday.
It was a great outfit.
I won't pretend.
It was regular Jimmy Goldstein.
I was feeling good.
It came off the clearance rack of Lord and Taylor. It came straight off the 70% rack. It was incredible.
No, it was not on clearance, McMaster. Come on, no. It was not.
Okay.
It was not on clearance.
All right, Biggs.
It's the time of year where I got to treat myself a little bit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He went out and bought a bunch of sweaters before the basketball season began.
Are you a sweater guy? Is that going to be your look for the pressers?
That is my basketball season fashion.
Regular Rick
So,
Majerus.
yeah.
Wow, I love it. Absolutely love it. We saw that he had a couple brews after too. It was good. The sweater was popping all over Lincoln. It was making its way down O Street, is what a little birdie told me.
Indeed, per source, yeah,
per source.
Good
Good sources.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about the game. What's your biggest takeaway here? I mean, there was a lot of really, really good things that happened on Saturday. Morgan looked great. Williams looked great. They were able to take an Indiana offense that was dominant in the paint and spread them out and make them shoot from the perimeter. What is the biggest thing that happened on Saturday that you're talking about right now, that you're thinking about to yourself?
My biggest takeaway was Bryce Williams and the show that he put on kind of from the jump. I mean, he was not afraid to, go downhill, try to get to the rim from the start. He had that mid-range fadeaway that, gave
Crazy.
him a new Nebraska career high. Finishes with the 30-piece, an efficient 30-piece too. And then, Fred Hoiberg noted after the game that it wasn't the points that he was the most impressed by. It was the rebounding. I think he finished with 6 rebounds and 5 assists, if I remember correctly. And he said that he had put it, he had challenged both Bryce and Juwan Gary, who had a good game in his own right, to hit the boards and rebound it better. And they both rebounded it and then some. But see Bryce Williams, that have probably his best game as a Husker on a stage where they needed it. They needed that performance and that result. That's kind of what has stuck with me the most since Friday night.
I know there was a lot of Nebraska stuff that went well, especially the closing time, which is a great song, by the way. You hang around till?
Oh, yeah. Bar the Barn?
And then Bryce's night, which I think he has the ability to do that every night. But can we circle back to something? Wasn't that an embarrassing night for Indiana?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely was. There's no reason on God's green earth why a basketball team with Umar Ballo, Mackenzie Mbaka, and Malik Renaud in the starting lineup should be attempting 35 threes in a game.
Uh-huh.
There is no reason why I mean, what's the final score of that game if Miles Rice doesn't go on his heater, where he scored 13 points in a row, he ends up with 20. I mean, he clearly was the best player in red on the floor. I don't think anyone really came close to Miles Rice. But that was embarrassing for Indiana. Just the lack of intensity defensively. I could talk about the offense and 8 for 35 from 3 as is, but I was more stunned at the lack of their intensity on defense. That's kind of been a thing all season for them. Defense has left a ton to be desired. They've gotten torched in multiple games, but just the lazy, whether it was lazy closeouts or their paint defense, it was. I mean, I almost used the P word, being pathetic, but it was pretty bad for IU. And there's a lot of there was a lot of discourse on Friday nights, and it definitely get carried over in Indiana basketball circles for sure.
Does this win wash away the sins of that Michigan State outing, or do they have a couple more wins couple more things could get done in order for us to fully forget about that and write that off as a one-off?
I mean, it's going to be tough to forget about any 37-point loss.
Sure.
I mean, it's kind of going to be a not like it's could be like a scarlet letter on your resume for the conference slate and Big Ten season. But I mean, the question wasn't after that game went final, it was all about the response, right? Like it's it's corny. It's the Batman line. Why do we fall down? So we can get back up. All of that. It's then they got back up. They got off the mat, and they pulled away to win by. They went from losing by 37 to winning by 17 in the span of 6 days.
That's crazy.
That's quite the bounce back, quite the turnaround, and quite the response from Fred Hoiberg's Huskers.
All right, Diamond Head Classic is upcoming. Murray State is first up, coming on the 22nd. Are we now in the mode for the rest of the year? Nebraska just has to avoid bad losses. Now, there might not be a bad loss in the final, but I mean, are we shifting not only to the trip to the Diamond Head Classic and then Southern on the 30th, but now navigating the Big Ten of just avoid bad losses, pick up a couple of marquee wins like a Michigan or an Oregon or an Illinois, and you're going to be sitting pretty?
I think it's twofold. I think it's avoid bad losses, and I think it's protect home court.
Yeah.
Nebraska has not lost a Big Ten home game since February of 2023. They, if they can protect home court, throughout the conference slate, I mean, they're gonna have a pretty good chance to have their names called, when that time comes. And I think, the avoid bad losses thing is also a part of it. I think, the Juwan Gary and Bryce Williams said as much, about this tournament. They said, we're going to Hawaii for a tournament where we feel like, we should come out on top, but we can't overlook anybody. And, Murray State, they're no slouch. They're a solid mid-major. Fred Hoiberg gets to complete the sandwich of Iowa State coaches. He beat the guy who coached before him at Iowa State earlier this season in Omaha. Now he gets to coach against the guy who came after him at Iowa State, Steve Prohm, who's now back at Murray State. But there's some solid mid-majors in that field, and I think in an ideal scenario, you end up in the final against Loyola Chicago, who's off to a really great start under Drew Valentine this year. And you're hopefully bringing a trophy with you when you get on the plane back from Hawaii just before New Year's.
Yeah, Loyola was unbeaten until last night when they got beat by San Francisco. That would be an ideal matchup at, what would that be, 10:30 in the morning?
Heck yeah.
On Christmas?
I think it's 10:30 at night. I think it's 10:30 at night, actually.
Okay. On Christmas?
I think it's super late on Christmas, yes.
Yes. Great. I'll be in bed. Christmas. Hey.
Oh no! Wait a minute. Let's see here. I gotta make plans for this. Hold on. Where do I find the championship game? You're right. 7:30 on Christmas night would be the championship game of the Diamond Head Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Pavelka is elated to be out
happy
in Hawaii on the Christmas and be playing at 8:30 or 7:30 Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
Biggs, I want to talk about one guy, Connor Essegian. He had a pretty good game, 13 points, 4-7 from the field, had a couple 3-pointers. Do you think that what we saw against Indiana is the Connor Essegian we'll probably see throughout the year, the guy who comes off the bench and, gets spot shots and runs around, but not necessarily the dude who is going off every night like Casey? Or do you think that, the sky is the limit for Connor and they need to try and get him to get more shots and to get that explosive factor going from him?
I think Friday night is more in the mold of like what I would expect from Connor Essegian the rest of the way. I think he kind of, I think he can, be in that like the 6 man. Remember when CJ Wilcher was on a heater last year and people were like, Big Ten 6 man of the year, CJ Wilcher. Like I think that could, be a discussion for Essegian toward the end of the year, and I think him scoring in that I think he finished with 13. I think that's kind of like the perfect amount for him, especially if Bryce Williams is Alpha Bryce, as you guys referred to him as, and he's got it going, and Essegian can come in, hit a couple threes, get into double figures as well. I think that's more kind of the perfect role and the blueprint for success for Nebraska is him, not being the top option, but still contributing, getting into double figure scoring.
Hey, let's talk big picture college basketball, and maybe we should just give all of our credit to a guy that all of us know, Garth Glissman, who is the SEC Associate Commissioner for men's basketball, because the SEC wrapped up a weekend in which they went 13-1.
Insane.
You could make a case that right now they could have 3 of the top 4 number 1 seeds, Iowa State, possibly the other one, but the SEC, a football conference, which I don't know. Maybe they're not a football conference. They didn't have anybody in the top 10 of the Heisman. They don't have 9 of the 12 playoff teams. But how has that conference, and it's not just Kentucky, changed the narrative that it is a quality basketball conference, and it is damn good?
I mean, I think the first word is investment, right? And that's not just financial. That's top to bottom investment from the league offices. Obviously, you mentioned Garth, who we all know, one of the best people that anyone can ever talk to. He'll make you feel good just talking to him because he's that kind of positive. But it's investment from the institutions. It's investment. They've made some really good hires. I think that that league, it's obviously a big conference, but I think it might have the deepest group of coaches, like pound for pound, in the country. And then it just all comes back to investment from the conference itself, from the institutions making good hires, putting resources into basketball to get some of the dudes that are on these teams, some of the athleticism that you see watching these SEC games. It looks like a completely different sport compared to other conferences. But there are going to be some marquee games in that league, whether it's Auburn, Alabama, or Calipari going back to Rupp, which was very strategically scheduled, by the way. And there's going to be a lot of marquee games in that league, and it's going to be a war because teams that were picked near the top have had marquee wins so far, and so have teams that have been picked near the bottom, like your Vanderbilts and your Missouris. They're all punching at or above their weight class in the non-con so far.
Yeah, I can't wait for when the SEC, when they got teams knocked out of the NCAA too early, they'll use the Big Ten excuse that the regular season was too hard, and that's why they didn't do well in the tourney.
Or they'll expand it to 76 immediately while we're in the middle of 68.
Yeah, they're doing the selection show, and they go, breaking news, we got 8 more teams in. Hey, so Jacob, look, I understand that they're going out to Hawaii and that the slate of teams that they're going to play aren't necessarily the highest of caliber. It's not Murderer's Row, but what are you looking for? What's something that you think is going to be important heading into this slate, and what do you want? What do you think your biggest takeaway is going to be?
I'm just looking for them to take care of business. I'm expecting that. They're the best team in that field. By far. They open with Murray State, who I think will be a tough game. I don't think it's going to be a walkover by any means. But the other two, the other side of that bracket was where I think it's Loyola and College of Charleston. Shout out the return of Chris Mack. There's some interesting teams in that field, but I'm just looking for them to take care of business because the no bad losses like we talked about, and I think they'll have a distinct advantage, over the rest of that field. Looking at it, from top to bottom. That'll be what I'm looking for. Staying up late the week of Christmas to watch some games, on ESPN for the Diamond Head Classic.
What's a Christmas tradition in the Bigelow household?
Oh, great question.
A Christmas tradition in my house.
Now, are you a presents Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
Everything Christmas Day, nothing before.
Okay.
We haven't never done anything before. We're a prime rib house for Christmas.
Nice.
And it helps that pretty small family, so that helps too. But I don't think we have any like distinct like Christmas traditions. We kind of just we eat good and we do everything the day of. So
more basketball or football on the television in the Bigelow household on Christmas Day?
Who are you talking to, Gary?
All right, but I had
you just answered your own question.
I don't know your dad. I don't know your dad. I don't know your mom.
Christmas Story Marathon. It is.
Maybe mom is a big Chiefs fan like her son.
You're not going to have the Chiefs on. You're not going to have the Chiefs on the TV over.
We're gonna have the Chiefs on Christmas. We will have the Chiefs on. It's a Chiefs house. But most of the years it would be basketball. But the Chiefs on Christmas will make it an exception.
Yeah, football is kicking basketball off of Christmas Day.
Yo, big time. Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Wow.
The NFL.
What was that? What was that
Did
voice?
you just vomit on the air?
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
It sounded like he was 2 packs deep.
Make you uncomfortable, but no. The NFL will gladly eminent domain anything from you. They'll take it from you, whether it's Christmas or Black Friday. They'll gladly come take it from you.
Yes, they will. And look at the playoff this weekend. There's football on Saturday in the NFL. We'll get chatter on this. Grade my new co-host's game inside of a establishment on O Street. Are we going to Dayton? Are we going to the next round? Are we going to the second weekend? Are we going to San Antonio? Or are we not making the tournament?
Oh, I think you're in an 8-9 game. You're in an 8-9 game where like you can definitely give the one a run for his money. I mean, you'd think the kid, I'll give credit to the kid. You at PBA on Friday night, you'd think he was running for governor. He was shaking hands, he was kissing babies.
He was home.
He was home. He was here to tell the people, I'm back. Like I'm here, I'm back, and don't forget it. But it's he's off to a pretty good start. But you never know who could make a Cinderella run 8-9. You upset a one, and you're cooking with gas from there. So that's no slight to him at all.
We win a game we have no business winning.
Have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, everything that you celebrate in the Bigelow household.
Yes, absolutely. Same to you guys. Appreciate the time like always, and we'll look forward to chatting again soon.
Hey, thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Jacob. I just want to say this right now. Look, I made my presence known. I went to the press box. I went down there. I didn't have a press pass. Should I have done it? Maybe legally and professionally, no. But I went down there and I said, I shook all the hands of the people that I knew, and most importantly, our guest on the show. And I looked Brian Christopherson in the eye. I go, hey, thanks for coming on, man. Look forward to working with you. Look Sipple in the eye. Thanks for coming on, man. Looking forward to work with you.
We got to be careful here. Who was that?
I made it clear. Hey, nice to see you. Look, you were in Omaha. You were doing your job. You did a great job. Congratulations. You were doing your thing.
I was watching Paul Zelk put on a ref show Friday night at Northern Iowa.
You were doing your thing. Someone has to keep up the media relations with the rest of the media people while you're away. And it was my job to do that. And I went to Lincoln and I made sure everyone knew that Gary and Matt is alive and it's well, and they could come on and we can make great content together.
Good. I'm glad that you did not brick for chicken.
I'm
for chicken.
Ambassador of Gary and Matt McMaster.
We're gonna
we can work on that.
I am loving that we're gonna have 21-year-old females listen to the show because they don't believe what you do.
Oh, it'll be great. It'll be fun. It already kind of happened. I think she might be listening. So
he's lying. He works at Target. No, he doesn't. He's on the radio.
She a college student?
You're listening to Gary and Matt here on yeah. She's college student. I'm still
shame in that.
I can still do college.
Yeah,
students.
why?
I can still talk.
Not like she's in 6th grade.
You're a college student.
I'm graduated. I definitely think there is a statute of limitations.
We were
until
not
it gets
graduated at
weird.
your age.
Like, when do you think it'll get weird for me to talk to college students?
40, 50 years old.
Don't ask Bill Belichick that question.
I mean, I don't think there is.
You don't think there is?
Yeah. I mean,
I always thought that
gotta-
it was weird if there was like a 26-year-old who wasn't in, like, if there was a 26-year-old who wasn't there, who didn't go to that school and who was just there at the college bars, right? And he was
Maybe
clearly talking to the 20 and 19-year-olds. I think most people would be like, that's a little strange. You know, I think in that town, maybe. In Chicago, maybe not in Chicago, but like in the college town.
So you're saying
there's
other
other places.
Foley, it's weird.
It's a little strange. Like there's other areas in Lincoln where you can go as a 5-year-old to a 30-year-old to go and have drinks with, and there's nothing wrong
had
with
this
that.
person been to the basketball game?
No, I'm talking about when I was in college. Like there would.
No, I'm talking Friday night. Had she been to the basketball game?
Yeah, she was there.
So did you meet her at the basketball game?
No, I met her at a bar.
Okay. Did you use the line, where they putt for a Porsche? I can make it.
No, I didn't use that one. Friend of a friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kid knows how to wheel.
So you're either Mark Thew or Jim Valvano. I see what we're doing here.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Can you believe it? I know that was Dickie V, but
Wow.
I know it was a good night.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, I had one hell of a weekend.
Who scored more on Friday night, Bryce Williams or you?
Hey, we both got it done in the clutch.
Wins
we
or
were
wins?
both Alpha Bryce.
Did you leave to a standing ovation?
No, I almost fell. Because it was icy. There was actually like a video of a Ring camera of me leaving and like me tripping over myself because, it was cement. It was bad.
Of the Sandy's camera? Because I can.
No.
Oh, okay.
Ring house camera.
Of her house.
Yeah.
Whoa, you're playing road games. You just got here.
Oh, there's no such thing as hostile environment.
Jesus, you're not a high major basketball. You would be buying those games. Instead, you're on the road.
You bond as a team when you're on the road.
I cannot believe you just made a buy-in game innuendo with my love life. That's great.
Is it really
That's great?
If it's just Friday night, is it really a love life?
If anything, I paid.
Things have changed. You paid?
If anything, it was a buy game for me. I was the one getting paid.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I was the low major.
That's too bad when you see her hanging out with Cam Mack and Lincoln. It's Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in. Crossover's coming up here in a little bit.
It's the holiday season. Whoop-de-doo. And dickory. I need to get my own things here. I'll probably need to buy my own. I'll go to Target today.
That song, I used to, back in the day, would always be...
Make love to that?
Usually it was my own play-by-play calls. Juicy scores!
Relatable.
Sharp up to bat. He gets a hold of this one.
Oh, wait, listen to this
He
one.
dingles and dangles, walks the puck in over the blue line, now up against the wall, and he dumps it in and around.
He'll go for a change.
It slides over to the left corner, now back to the point. Now in the slot, turning, firing, scores!
That was good.
There is news in the portal.
Hey, yo.
If you're ready to go portaling, we are portaling. Nebraska, by the way, before I tell you who's in the portal, well, you want my thought on a portal pickup or a portal old friend alert?
Give me thoughts on a portal pickup first.
Sneakily, which is a word that can only be used on 1620 The Zone, I think that the addition of a long snapper will be one of Nebraska's most important offseason additions.
I like that a lot. I agree. I'll tell you this right now. Marco Ortiz, we picked him up. Nebraska picked him up 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska never had a problem with the snap. They never had an issue. This year, he leaves, ton of issues.
They've had trouble with the curve, but the snap until this year. But that's also on Nebraska, not realizing how important Marco Ortiz was and not doing anything last year. But things are changing. That's going to be one of the more important additions in Kevin Gallick. But old friend alert in the portal. This is a guy that I was golfing last summer, and he committed to Nebraska, and I ticked off the other three gentlemen that I was playing golf with because I had to get a tweet out, and I was very excited when he committed to Nebraska. I was not playing golf when he decommitted from Nebraska. Kawan Lacey is in the portal.
Ooh,
so Kawan Lacey did not redshirt at Mizzou this year, but only carried the ball 23 times for 104 yards. Played in their first two games. 11 of his 23 carries were in their first two games. And then I'm not sure what happened afterwards. But he is in the portal. 5'11", 205 pounds. He was the running back that committed to Nebraska. We got excited about because he looked like a 3-down back. He is back in the portal. But Nebraska went out and secured in the 25 class their Kawan Lacey and Janarian Parker, who are very similar running backs.
Yeah.
So I don't think this would be in play.
And you got to think.
But there's, I don't know why. Whatever they're doing at Mizzou with the bag and convincing kids, they have no plan for them. Give them money and you got no plan. You know how like when your parents would give you money and you're like, hey, let's have that financial discussion. It just seems like Mizzou just gives kids money and they have no plan for them, because he's somebody that should be playing. But he should have come to Nebraska initially. He's in the portal now. Kawan Lacey has 3 years of eligibility remaining.
This is what when we talk about the discussion of kids committing to places for the wrong reasons, and they're sacrificing their development, and they're sacrificing going to a place that they think is best for them in regards to taking the money instead of going there. This is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about the Kawan Lacey's. We're talking about the Williams Nwaneri's, where they are putting money over happiness, putting money over fit, putting money over development. And it's bad for the sport. It's bad for the sport because you'll have some guys who do that, who enter the portal, who can't get on another roster, who because of these new roster limits just aren't going to be able to continue to play college football because of that. And so this is where you have the concern of kids just saying, all right, I'm going to take the bag. I'm going to go to where they're paying me the most and not putting their football before that. I'll say this.
Fifth freshman to leave Mizzou.
On Lacey, at some point, you got to give Quinton Ives a fair shot here and just, hand him the ball and see if he can do something within game. I mean, I really, really like Quinton Ives. I've seen the tape. They like him. They talk very highly of him. He'll have a couple of years of eligibility remaining. I understand going with Emmett and Dante, you might want to add another running back to that room, but I think at some point you got to give Ives a little bit of run.
They have a running back in that room, Makai Nelson.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, no, I mean, with what Missouri is doing, right? When we talk about everything that's wrong with NIL, that's the case in point right there. Just giving kids money and then not actually worrying about the football.
5 freshmen. Either they played or did not play last year. Have already entered.
And Lacey didn't get a red shirt?
No, he played early in their blowouts against Murray State and
terrible.
I think Buffalo.
Terrible management.
Yep, Murray State and Buffalo, and then he played against UMass.
Terrible.
He carried the ball 4 times in SEC games.
There's no reason why that guy shouldn't have a red shirt. Got to have a red shirt if you're not going to be, unless you're. Yes, there are exceptions to it. I understand, but almost always. Now we talked about different red shirts. What are you going to do? Different strategies and whatnot, but should have a red shirt.
Here is Dave, and this is a big moment for him because he had a big weekend in SFWLA. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, congratulations. You can let everybody know that this was a hell of a weekend for you.
I am a 2024 Florida State champion.
Congratulations, Dave. That's awesome.
Thank you. It was, well, Gary, you know the road. I mean, we've spoke throughout the season, and Lake Mary was good, but honestly, I think the week before against Columbus was probably the state championship game.
Yeah, yes.
Teddy B got him one.
I know, Teddy Bridgewater in his first year.
Good for Teddy.
Back at Miami Northwestern got a title.
They're going to be good. They're going to be good for a bit. We're probably going to see them again, I'm assuming.
Well, I think they are going to be pretty active in the high school portal. And in the state of Florida, you could live in Jacksonville and go to Miami Northwestern High School, and there's no restrictions. Seriously.
That is correct. It is called School of Athletic Choice. If you have the means to get there, which basically means no assistance from a coach, you can go wherever you want to go.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's not recruiting because, as my boss, Coach John Peacock, will say, we do our recruiting in January or February, December when we're on TV.
Yeah. I mean, the fourth overall title for Venice. What is it? John's 3rd title, I think.
3rd as a head coach, 4th as a staff member. He's the OG, Gary. He was on the original Venice 2000 state championship team. He was linebacker coach.
Well, that's congratulations. The Venice is in 7A, which is one of the larger classes. 4th straight state title game, and you finally got yourself a ring. Congratulations.
I did. And hey, on a somber note, don't mean a whole lot up there, but we lost the deputy last night. Pulled the guy over, got shot. So we're kind of put a damper on what we had planned and stuff. So we're kind of calming down, but unfortunately, life happens.
Yeah, I know that was just north of Fort Myers. Congratulations. Yep. Have a wonderful holiday, and also, you know what? Stick the knife in and turn a little bit on coaches like Coach Shannon and also Coach Heyer and Coach Burton, who have been there for a decade plus. I mean, your ratio to time at Venice with a championship ring compared to them, I mean, you should hold that over them.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing, Gary. They got 3 now. I got 1. So.
All right. Well, you're working on it. How we doing about funneling players towards Lincoln?
You want me to? I need somebody to answer the phone.
All right.
We just had a kicker who set the all-time state single season scoring record with 109 points. Wow. Who waited and waited and waited and finally went to Florida State 2 weeks ago because he never heard back from anybody in a certain school. Running back going to Louisville because we never heard back from a certain school.
Yeah. Well, keep trying.
Hey, I got Aaron Graham on the sidelines down here. He's helping too. So
I know that's pretty cool. Hey, congratulations again. That's a great way for you to go into the Christmas holiday.
Yes, sir. 3 weeks and softball starts.
Hey, thanks, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
All right, buddy.
Venice, which is located along the Gulf Coast, is a football powerhouse.
Yeah.
So the largest class is 8A. They're 7A, but when you're 7A, 8A, it really doesn't make a difference. Loaded team. Sammy Watkins' nephew is a dude on that team as a wide receiver.
I'll tell you this right now. Florida allowing guys to go wherever they want to go to school for athletic choice with how much talent is down there. I'd imagine it's not like coaching high school football. That's closer to coaching what college football is. Trying to get those kids that talented in those programs, trying to play against high-level teams and competition.
Places like Florida, I've said this before. Places like Florida, places like California, they don't play in Texas. They don't play high school football. They play college football light. That's the college football they're playing or the high school football they're playing in Illinois and whatnot. It's in a lot of cases doesn't hold a candle to what they're doing in Florida and Texas.
I think Texas has their state championships this weekend.
Yep.
Is that it?
Yep.
I love those videos of just
Craig Way
sold out.
Back to old Craig Way for a weekend.
70,000 people at a Texas state championship game. I mean, it's incredible. You know, I was talking to some Nebraska coaches and we were talking to some Nebraska assistants about why why Texas, why it's such a big deal that they get down there and they make their presence known and they get those kids. And they explain to me, they go, those guys do 3-a-days. I mean, they have the best facilities, the best weight rooms, the best nutrition. And then when they pull during lunch, they'll pull them out and they'll go and play football. They'll go out in the middle of the field at 12 p.m., 1 p.m. and get their reps in. And then they'll go out later and actually practice. I mean, it is a football factory in those areas of the country, and it's encouraging that Matt Rhule and his staff are making their way over there.
Yep. Quick break. We'll come back. We'll put a wrap on the show. Again, Nebraska, Penn State in the Final Four in Louisville, coming up on Thursday night at about 8 o'clock. It'll be on ESPN, and there will be a lot of Nebraska fans there. A lot of Nebraska fans. The other side is Pitt and Louisville. Good on the committee. All 4 number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right. I was just watching a video of a Kyle Tucker home run. Everything's on a loop. Hi, Cub fans are welcome. Matt and myself, we forced the Chicago Cub front office to do something that attracts players to Wrigley Field that are star players, and it gets us on the bottom line on ESPN, which I have not seen a Cub pickup in a long time get featured on ESPN like Kyle Tucker did when he was acquired on Friday. So good for us Cub fans. We shame the Ricketts. See what happens when you shame the Ricketts? They have to spend money.
I sent you what? Do you remember the GIF I sent you?
Do not. You sent me a lot of pictures. There was just a rapid fire. I had to keep up.
I sent you the Michael Scott. I'm ready to be hurt again. Okay, when it comes, I look down in the camera. When it comes to Cubs baseball, I'm ready to be hurt again. I'm ready. I've convinced myself that we are a couple pieces away from making a legit run. Should I have? No. Is there any chance? Is there a snowball's chance in hell that we beat the LA Dodgers in a 7-game series? No. But I'm ready to convince myself that that is something that can happen. I love it. Seiya, I'll say this. Seiya actually did have a pretty good year last year, like 289. He picked it up toward the end of the year.
Helped my fantasy team. Yes, he did.
I gave him a ton of credit for the bat, but man, like, he was pretty sure he was a Gold Glover in Japan, and then they fired. Yeah. Apparently he was so good in the outfield, and then funny enough, so I was telling you about this with my buddies. We did our top 10 least favorite Chicago athletes of all time, and we all made lists, and it was like 40 people who did it, and it was tallied, and then the master list was released. Seiya Suzuki was on the master list.
Really?
Because so many people were upset about him dropping the ball in Atlanta and costing them a playoff run. I just thought I'd mention that to you. One drop, one bad play, one mess up after what was a pretty decent Cubs career. He is in the gutter in a lot of people's minds. It's craziness.
It's called the passion of the fan.
It's called playing in the Chicago market.
But with Milwaukee making a trade of their closer, which I think they kind of fleeced the Yankees, but the Yankees need a closer. And whatever St. Louis is trying to do, go win the division, please. Thank you. That's all I'm asking. Just go win the division.
You know what the Yankees are doing? They struck out with the 10 at the bar, so now they're just picking up a bunch of 5s just to like make up for it.
I wouldn't put. I'd put Max Fried.
Picked up a 7.
Max
picked up a 7. Picked up an 8.
Wins.
Picked up a 6.
Williams isn't bad.
No, I know. I was just making a joke.
Like the 5 would be Davey Concepcion.
Sure. They're picking up a lot of lower ones.
See if you catch that.
No.
You know Davey Concepcion? Big Red Machine.
Oh, hell yeah. With Pete Rose.
Yes.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Come on, guys.
Well, I didn't know.
No. That was bad. That was bad on me, but I recovered.
Drop a Pete Inconvenient.
I will never forget, though, when Pete Rose went on Big Fox and they were sitting there, and I loved them on the panel. I thought he was so funny. Rest in peace. He goes, they might have a big blue machine here in Chicago during 2016. And that revved me up. That fired me up. I go, oh my God, can you believe we're consistently in the World Series we're playing? And then, just crashed out. He jinxed us.
You at least got
the one. He
jinxed
us.
You can't take that away.
My dad and I talk, and I say to him, I go, can you imagine our lives if they lost that game in Cleveland?
Can't take it away. Only old-timers can do that.
He's like, my life would be worse if they didn't win in 2016.
I
agree.
I probably would have never gone back to Wrigley Field if, after standing for all 9 innings, they lost Game 5.
Oh,
yeah.
And to watch the then Indians celebrate on the field, I probably would have never gone back to Wrigley Field.
That was the most stressful, sporting event of my life. That was pins and needles the entire
The only baseball
time.
Game I've ever stood for the entire game.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, you had to. It was incredible. I mean, that place I'll never forget how that place was after they won that game.
There was a stat for the Heisman this weekend that is something as everybody is portaling. Nebraska hasn't pediddled in their portal today.
Nice.
Not yet. That's how they should announce things.
Petiddle the portal?
Haven't you ever pediddled your portal?
I have petiddled my portal many times.
It hurts, man, when you pull it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you do it 4 times in a day.
So the Heisman.
I do remember 8th grade.
Sometimes you got to stretch. Sometimes you got to dream. Sometimes you have a fantasy. Sometimes the reality is the fact that of the 8 of the top 9 vote getters in the Heisman Trophy race.
Oh, yeah.
Started at a group of 5 or an FCS.
Heck yeah.
you look at who Nebraska is pursuing. There are quite a few Group of Five. I don't think I'm seeing FCS, but you know what? Just like we get so riled up about how come Nebraska football doesn't have a relationship with Iowa Western, which will be playing for another national championship coming up on Wednesday.
Shout out Josh.
Why doesn't Nebraska have a better relationship? Because it seems like they send a lot of guys to Vermillion, Brookings, and Fargo, but they don't get a lot of guys back from there. You have 3 of the Final 4 in the FCS are from right here in this area. The outlier is Montana State. But Nebraska doesn't seem to supplement the roster of former Huskers, or good on these kids, the high schoolers that are not recruited by Nebraska, they want to go somewhere else and they're playing and they're making impact. But Nebraska never seems to get a return. Like we never have that player to be named later when you send X to North or South Dakota State and they're a starting defensive back. You never get that player to be named later. That's such a weird. Nebraska doesn't get guys from Iowa Western. They don't get guys from the Interstate 29 FCSers.
There was I think there will be. I'm not going to fully put it on Cignetti, but I do think that Cignetti will have an impact on how these FCS and these Group of Five guys are recruited, considering the fact that he brought so many dudes from James Madison over to Indiana, and now they're in the college football playoff. And he went on the mic. I think it was either Pat McAfee or during a press conference. He goes, "Look, we don't do what potential. We do production. If you produce, you come and you play here." And I think that might have resonated. And, it's not. He wasn't talking about Matt Rule at all. That's not a shot at Rule. But they do. Nebraska does things the opposite. They do it, up to this point. They've done it the opposite. They love the measurables. They love the height. They love the speed. I think you're now seeing in the portal, we're going to see more portal trends, right, over the next 5, 6, 7 years about how things pan out. FCS players, Group of Five players that are all conference players, they pan out. They pan out.
With a certain plan. I will agree. Yeah, you can't just.
Well, that's every kid, though. That's every kid's a certain
kid. You
can
tell a bad program when they get in the portal and they're just desperate and they're just dropping offers everywhere, and it makes no sense for who they're adding.
Sure.
At least in this go around, and not like Nebraska's violated this. I can see Nebraska has a plan. Like they're neat. That's why I think the long snapper is about little details. What happens when you don't take care of the little details there, kid?
They add up and they turn into big problems.
There you go. Little details would be like the correct long snapper, right?
Yeah, correct.
You could
good holder.
You could probably project 2 football games this year that Nebraska could have won if the snap was better.
Illinois.
There's a game in Iowa City.
It
would have made a huge difference.
And they once again, I get it. They weren't all-American long snappers like Marco, but you'd think your coach.
But really, how many people are paying attention to the all-American list for long snappers or place kickers? There's so many place kickers that come through that were like the Jamie Cole #1 kicker. He had the big boot.
But what I'm saying is that,
and I'm like, I don't care. I just want to see him. I want to see him in November on the wrong hash, be able to adjust and kick a field goal in Memorial Stadium. Thank you.
I'm just saying though, you knew Marco was gone. He was not going to be here this year. There's not an excuse as to why your special teams coach either couldn't have taught one of the 2 guys that they use throughout the year to snap the ball. No excuse why that was a problem. That's why you have a special teams coach. Teach him.
Wonder how Florida felt about losing Marco Ortiz.
Did they have problems with snapping afterwards?
No, I don't know.
I think
he was a transfer.
I think it is a big loss. Like if Nebraska had a great long snapper, and they lost him, and then they had to replace him with someone else, and then it was consistently bad snaps and bad holds that were leading to field goal misses, then you absolutely miss your long snapper. I mean, they felt that this year. That's exactly what happened this year. Also, too, they got to get a new holder. So,
like, we should never talk. Like, Kevin Gallick is committed to Nebraska. We should never mention his name again.
I totally agree.
I mean, I okay, good. It's one of the most important ads, but I never want to hear the name Kevin Gallick again.
If the next time we bring up Kevin Gallick's name, if we ever do, it's because he messed up big time.
Yep. That's the life of a center or a long snapper, where you're constantly looking between your legs. What a life. Crossover's coming up next. We will rejoin you tomorrow at 6.
Heck yeah, man.
Bring that coffee.
Absolutely.
That bet you're
No,
gonna lose.
no. I like a black coffee with 1 sugar.
Skull.
1 sugar.
Skull.
Bear. Bears.
And not that skull.
A rough night for you, my friend.
Bears.
I hope you got the clicker in hand to switch to something else. Maybe watch a little Neighborhood.
Bears.
For Jimmy, from Adam, Gary, crossovers next.